peacefully pushing for change.
There used to be a statue in the middle of town. It used to tell a story, now it don't make a sound. And now we see the children, they wanna burn it all down. We gave them all the glory and gave up the high ground.
What is justice? Who can we prosecute for those deaths? Nobody. Nobody. Mother Nature, God, where did this virus come from? People are going to die by this virus. That is the truth. Older people, vulnerable people are going to die from this virus. We can't keep everyone alive.
The sun will still rise, I wanna be there with you. I've taken off my mask, are you ready for the truth? Forgive but not forget, for they know not what they do. Get off your knees and salute the red, white, blue.
Just don't know what it is that you're going into. You can't see what's coming at you and what it is. Is it a rock? Is it an explosive? All I remember was feeling it, and then I felt a fire medic. You know, their jobs are, you know, if we catch on fire, they grab us by our shoulders and pull us back, and they'll put us out. I felt that blast, and they said that they were 10 feet behind me. It felt the blast. Just felt these hands grab my shoulder, and I feel lucky that I didn't get seriously injured.
That's very odd. I'm not sure why he's doing that.
Well, that's a very good point, though, I have to say. And hilarious. Hilarious. Hilarious.
Why he's doing that.
Hilarious. Well, it's a very good point, I have to say. Hilarious. Hilarious.
That's very odd.
Hilarious.
That's very
hilarious. And hilarious.
That's very
hilarious.
I'm not sure why he's doing that. Very
hilarious.
Remind Mr. Jordan, Mr. Biggs, and Mr. Johnson to stop violating the rules of the committee, to stop violating the safety of the members of the committee, to stop holding themselves out as not caring by refusing to wear their masks.
Is it permissible to drink a sip
It
of
is not
coffee?
permissible.
Not to drink.
We can't drink coffee in the room.
now.
Mr.
I will.
Mr. Gates is recognized.
No. He went.
Never sits up there in his chair.
Remind Mr. Jordan, Mr. Biggs, and Mr. Johnson to stop violating the rules of the committee, to stop violating the safety of the members of the committee, to stop holding themselves out as not caring by refusing to wear their masks.
Yes,
Is it permissible to drink a sip
It
of
is not
coffee?
permissible.
They must leave their masks on. They must leave their masks on. They must leave their masks on.
Not to drink.
We can't drink coffee in the room.
Now.
Mr.
Some publicans make
Gates
a
is recognized.
fight.
No.
No, he went, and that's why I took off my mask, Mr. Chairman.
I'm gonna go.
Mr. Jordan is recognized.
Bang that gavel from your chair. That's right.
Remind Mr. Jordan, Mr. Biggs, and Mr. Johnson to stop violating the rules of the committee, to stop violating the safety of the members of the committee, to stop
They can
holding
drink no
themselves out
coffee.
as not
They
caring.
can drink
refusing
no
to wear their masks.
coffee. They can drink
Is it permissible
no
to drink a sip
It
of
is not
coffee?
permissible.
They
We
can
can't
drink
drink coffee.
no coffee.
Mr. Mr. Gates is recognized.
No.
No, he went, and that's why I took off my mask, Mr. Chairman.
I'm gonna go.
Mr. Jordan is recognized.
And coming this fall to home video, here's a look at the tragic true life story of the men known as the Three Stooges.
Dershowitz, she again is accusing him of having committed sexual acts against minors.
President Clinton has denied on numerous occasions that he was ever on that island that was owned by Jeffrey Epstein.
That is Prince Andrew with his arm wrapped around Virginia Giuffre when she is only a teenager.
She was very specific about that night. She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have baths.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time.
Oh, a wise guy, eh?
Oh, my neck!
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Come on. Oh, getting personal, eh?
I experimented with marijuana a time or two, and I didn't like it, and didn't inhale.
You have no right not to be vaccinated. You have no right not to wear a mask. You have no right to open up your business.
No right not to be vaccinated, meaning if they decide you have to be vaccinated, we have to be vaccinated?
Absolutely. And if you refuse to be vaccinated, the state has the power to literally take you to a doctor's office and plunge a needle into your arm.
I can't do a thing with him. You try something.
Yeah. Yo. Okay. The waiting is for JCD. 11 a.m. on the nose in Austin, Tejas. And he's connected. I see it. But I do not see any audio. So something's wrong. You can try another browser. And if not, let's revert to Skype. I'm pretty sure you can hear me. Because it's definitely a browser thing. Or some Windows internal thing on your end. Because it worked yesterday. But we'll know soon, won't we? Let's see if he comes back. Testing 1, 2. I see you. And I have... Now, unfortunately, I don't see anything come through. No audio. Okay, so I'm going to Skype, I guess. We're going to Skype. Hello?
You didn't hear me ringing you?
No. I did not.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, I left the rig exactly the way it was yesterday with Mo, and he had no problems. He has a Focusrite, the same setup, so there's something else going on.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I tried 2 different browsers.
Yeah. Windows has been fucking around with drivers. It may require reinstall or something. I don't know. It's annoying at best. Let me just set this up. Hold on. There we go.
Windows isn't done until Lotus won't run.
Is that some phrase I should know?
Yep.
What was that?
Is when they were doing, I forgot which version, but it's like Windows 3 or 2 or something. And this phrase went around Microsoft that the product wasn't ready to ship until Lotus wouldn't run on it.
Anti-competitive much?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, all right. Let's do this.
That lady! That bitch! Valkyrie! It's
All right, everybody, it's that time once again as we shoot off and deploy the bat signal. There it is. Go ahead, retweet that tweet, boost the toot. Val Curry is ready to ride as episode 1265. too. Yeah, perfect. You okay there, Chief? You coughing up a lung.
Chief. You and Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's something Joe would say, isn't it? Hey, Chief.
He says it. He says
you
Chief.
lying dog-faced pony soldier. Is that what he said?
Have my Biden clips for today, finally.
Hold on a second. I'm overmodulating. I don't want to overmodulate. Don't make me overmodulate. 2 closed 2. 1 2 2 2 2 2 2 2. No, not that one. This one. 2 2 2 2 2 1 2 2 2. 2 2 2 2 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Check. Now this is sounding like soap. I sound like soap. This is not right. 1 2 2. Yeah, it sounds soapy. Hold on. 1 2 3.
Boy, that's a new one.
1 2. Testing. 1 2 2 2. 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 2 2 means not enough mid. 2 1 2 check 2 1 2 2 2. All right, something like that. What?
Never heard that phrase.
Soapy? Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds kind of...
I would have probably heard something like not enough mid.
Yeah, but you're a professional audio guy. I'm just a hack. What do I know?
The thing.
Yes. The thing. Yeah. All right, let's do this before the Zephyr hits.
Hit it.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, August 2nd, 2020. This is your award-winning Give a Nation Media Assassination episode 1265.
This is No Agenda.
Protesting peacefully and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where everybody is soapy, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
We're all soapy together. That's us on a Sunday. It's a soapy Sunday, no agenda. And I've survived. I survived Antifa, the riots, snipers on the roof in downtown Austin, Boogaloo Boys. This is what we heard yesterday. Oh, if you live downtown, keep your eyes open. Looks like Antifa is trying to put snipers on rooftops, and the Boogaloo Boys are assembling near I-35. And oh man,
sounds like World War III right there in the town.
Yeah, so zero evidence of any Antifa. There were probably, I'd say, about 10 all combined throughout the evening groups of predominantly white kids. In their Saturday night go out and party dress, many of them, not a lot in black and helmets, and they were kind of mulling around, and then they'd stand in the street and they'd block the traffic, and oh boy, it's so horrible. There's no fighting.
That's not the way Mimi tells it.
Oh really?
So she calls me up and says, "Hey, what the hell's going on in Austin?" I said, "Some guy shot some guy, goes up to his car, brandishes an AK-47, yeah. The guy guns him down."
Yeah, but that was so last week.
And I said to her, "What? That was
last week."
And she says, no, it happened again, I guess.
No.
I said, really? Check the date on the article. It was a CNN story dated yesterday.
Really? Huh. Well,
I said, well, look at it. Okay. And she's confused. I said, well, okay, let's look up the guy's name. Who's the shooter? Who's the guy who got shot? She looks up the names. I said, now put that in and see what happened. And she says, oh, yeah, it's the same story, only they just changed the date line.
Unbelievable. No, actually very believable. What am I saying? So, yeah, it wasn't bad at all. There was no problem. And, when the kids were kids, I'm going to just say it, kids, when they were blocking the street, this is Austin PD. We're not going to come there and fight you. We're going to trot in on our 1,200-pound horses and nudge you aside. And it's such a great tool for this type of protest. Because, look, they're on the street. Get off the street. You don't want the kids screaming in the cops' faces at eye level. So you bring in the horse. The kids, they're of course the horse is very intimidating, but it's like you're being cruelty to animals, man. You can't be doing that with a horse. So they brain freeze. They can't figure out what to do. It's like, oh, it's a horse. Fuck, F the horse. Oh, it's a horse. Oh, it's a horse. The horse doesn't know any better. So they just kind of disperse and go off to the side. Very effective. That's the way to handle them. With the horse, they don't know what to do. Even better if you have a horse and you have a emotional support goat on the team. The kids will run away right immediately.
Well, we don't have anything like that going on around here.
I did look up, by the way, the legal definition of peaceably assemble, because everyone's talking about, we got the right to protest peacefully, but the Constitution actually uses a different word. It's peaceably. And peaceably is not that you're just walking around in, being nice and shouting stuff. No. The tranquility enjoyed by a political society internally by the good order which reigns among its members and externally by the good understanding it has with all other nations. In other words, not merely a state of response and security, a sense of state and security in a technical sense, applied to the internal regulations of the nation. In other words, the way I read this complicated definition is if you're protesting peaceably, that would mean that I feel calm and at peace, that I'm not worried about you. It's a small distinction, but I think words matter.
Well, I think you should take it up with the Times editorial board.
Yeah, okay. I'll get right on that.
8 cars, by the way.
8, no bonus?
No,
Okay.
The bonuses are rare nowadays.
Right, yeah, stable as she goes, everybody. Stable as she goes. We had that 8-car Zephyr plus the 2 bonus cars. Bitcoin went to $12,000. It was crazy. Maybe it's a Bitcoin indicator.
Maybe it's time. I don't know. Who goes to 7 cars? I'd short.
Exactly. All right, where do you want to start? Do you have any COVID stuff that we should talk about? Just to, I don't think there's a lot of super new stuff.
Well, I do have the rundowns, which they mean. Here's a couple of. This will be kind of interesting. It's kind of COVID related because it's mostly about COVID because it's about Trump.
Yes, as it goes.
But let's take a look at. Well, first of all, let's do this little thing so we can get a little propaganda in there by playing an Amy Goodman clip. Just listen to the way they do play this one up. This COVID in the Confederate States.
U.S. coronavirus death toll has topped 150,000 Wednesday, the highest of any nation by far. The hardest hit states per capita are Florida, Louisiana, Arizona, Mississippi, Alabama, Nevada, South Carolina, Texas, Idaho, Tennessee, and Georgia, a list that includes all 7 of the original Confederate states.
Thanks, Amy. Am I now just automatically a racist for just living here? Am I a horrible?
Yes.
That's pretty lame, man.
Oh, what do you expect? There's a bunch of Trotskyites over there at that place.
That's pretty.
All right, incredible. So this is an interesting comparison and contrast. CBS has gotten to the point where their teaser, which is their first 1:45 to 2 minutes at the beginning of the show, which wraps up the show in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So smart money can just listen to that, know what the news is about, and stop listening.
Right. Yes, we played these where the whole news, every story they do 30 seconds, and you pretty much don't have to watch after that. We've heard these. These are good.
Yeah, well, this is the one. Well, here's what's happening at CBS with Nora. Let's first play the CBS teasers, Nora.
From the CDC, America 20,000 more deaths in the next 3 weeks, and Florida in the middle of a pandemic. Now brace. Tonight, the star.
What's going on here? That's your clip doing weird stuff. Did you mean for that to happen?
I'll tell you what happened there. I'm surprised it's on there. When I'm queuing up a clip, when I'm recording it, I have to sometimes I don't have the right beginning, so I clip it, and And what happens is you get that herky jerk thing, and I usually erase that.
Okay.
But for some reason, it got on the clip. But so you get to hear the herky jerk part of the editing process. And you had something, the clip. I'm sorry.
You have something to say to me about soapy, but herky jerk is okay?
Herky jerk.
Please, give me a break.
Startling new prediction from the CDC. America could see 20,000 more deaths in the next 3 weeks. And Florida, in the middle of a pandemic, now bracing for a hurricane. Florida's governor declaring a state of emergency, shutting down COVID testing sites. The president on the ground there tonight, greeting a crowd of supporters without masks. All this as Hurricane Isaias pounds the Caribbean with devastating floods and is now threatening major cities along the East Coast. Deadline looming. More than 25 million Americans will lose critical unemployment aid at midnight as Congress goes home for the weekend without reaching a deal. Unfounded attacks on mail-in voting. The president continues to undermine the long-standing practice of voting by mail. Growing concerns that the U.S. Postal Service, led by one of President Trump's biggest donors, is slowing mail service.
Is that mail is backing up, is getting delayed.
Democrats tonight accuse President Trump of undermining democracy. Bitcoin bust. Tonight, Florida authorities arrest the mastermind behind that Twitter attack of 130 accounts, including President Obama, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk. Turns out he's 17 years old. And tonight, CBS's Steve Hartman is on the road with a local businessman who's helping send 75 kids to college.
Well, honey, bring over the Ben and Jerry's. It's going to be a great show with Nora.
Now, somebody's been giving media training to her, so she's now, her last word in a sentence or a phrase is always stretched.
Yeah, she's stretching so the visuals are overlap. It's kind of it's a cool trick if you do it well.
Well, she's not doing it well.
And by the way, thanks to Dame Jennifer, what a fantastic animated No Agenda with Nora and Bill Gates that came out.
Yeah, that was a very good one of the top 10.
It was definitely good. Loved it a lot.
So Nora's, so now the way they've structured the show, she does that rundown. That's a 145, and she does it. So she starts. Then they go to, they take the break, start the show. She starts off and basically does the same thing again.
No.
Well, you just heard what you heard, right?
Yeah.
Now let's listen to. This is the first part of the show, which is what's the kind of call this clip? It's CBS continues. This is the Who that she talks about everything she talked about. She's like, it's like the old thing they always tell you when they supposedly tell you this when you're a public speaker, and people have different variations of it, which is tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them what you told them, and then you can go home.
Hey, wait a minute. That's exactly what Dr. Birx does. She follows that formula.
That formula is very common amongst amateur public speakers. Not that it's not important to tell people. I mean, if you listen to the pros tell you how to do a speech, you are supposed to tell them, you're supposed to tell them why they're there.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's go with this. Now you just heard what you heard. Now here's 54 seconds. The first 54 seconds of the show. It's the same thing.
Okay, I don't know what to play, though.
Oh, it's the only other CBS clip. CBS combines Who, Trump, Hurricane, main body.
I don't have that.
What?
I don't. I'm stopping tape. I don't have it. I have CBS teasers Nora, and then I have CNS teasers Nora.
Oh, well, I could have sworn that I made these edits. Okay, look for VS, some complete misspelling botch.
Yeah, I got it.
I fixed all those things before I sent you this file, I thought.
It's VBS.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go. If I'd seen that.
By the way,
yeah,
I understand you don't mind the edit because you're not breaking that record anyway.
How good was that, though? 23 minutes from show finish to publish? Yeah, that was pretty good last show. All right, here we go.
24:43.
It's classic VBS, everybody. Here we go.
We're going to begin this Friday night with what the World Health Organization is calling a once-in-a-century health crisis, the effects of which we will feel for decades to come. The news is especially alarming as tonight this devastating prediction from the CDC. The virus will claim 20,000 more lives in the next 3 weeks. And we want to zero in on Florida, which shattered its single-day death toll record for the 4th straight day. And on top of that, the state is now facing a possible hurricane. Hurricane Isaias is now pounding parts of the Caribbean, leading to mudslides in Puerto Rico. Florida's governor declaring a state of emergency for parts of his state. Officials there are scrambling to shut down beaches and parks, along with most state outdoor COVID testing sites. The president was also in Florida today, holding a mini rally there at the airport, though few were seen wearing masks.
It's basically the same
report, yeah.
Only she added a couple extra. She added some details. So they're going to do a teaser. That's the basics, and then they're going to do the same stuff, only with a couple of extra details. Not a lot, by the way, just one or two.
It feels a bit like filler to me.
The whole news, the whole half hour goes that way until they get the Hartman piece, which is the smiley feel good piece, which all the news, all the three networks are using. They're putting that at the end. And so Nora could leave the show with a big smile on her face because it's always a cutesy story.
Yeah. It sounds to me like she was filling up, and that's filler what they're doing there. They just got nothing to do.
I think there's some truth to that because they won't cover the yellow vests are still in play.
Yeah.
They won't cover anything overseas. It has to be somehow, there's got to be some Trump angle or Republican angle is what it really amounts to.
Yeah.
You're talking about Florida, you're talking about a Republican governor.
Yeah.
And Confederate states and this whole thing that Amy did. It's just, yeah, and they're giving the news quality of these broadcasts, they have to be losing viewership.
I'm sure they're losing quite a bit of viewership. I think the whole world is crumbling. The media, the broadcast media world. Of course, there's always going to be a role, but look at the messaging. It's not really working as a messaging system anymore. Trump has completely circumvented that, and everyone kind of gets it. And look at the podcast landscape. So, yeah, I mean, we know they're hurting. People are cutting cords. There's too many channels. The cable affiliate fees are in play. Yeah, it's not tomorrow, but maybe in 20 years. It's definitely on the decline.
Well, it's on the decline. That's the main thing.
No doubt about it.
But the newspapers were on the decline starting in the 50s.
Yeah.
Because of the TV news. And they're still in decline, but it's been like 50 years later, 70 years later even. But they're on the decline. They're really not the same if you look at a newspaper, if you have a college or university nearby and they have a newspaper room that actually has old newspapers or microfiche.
Yeah.
Go look at the newspapers from the 50s. They're dense with information. Dense.
Yeah, of course. Well, that was it. Now the internet is dense with horse manure.
Yeah, well,
that's what we do.
Different.
We sort through it professionally. That's what we do.
That's all I got for COVID.
Okay. I have just a couple things.
And I feel bad about it because I know that COVID carries the day.
It does, but it's still the same news. We're still waiting for the results of the trials. Actually, you had there was an updated stat from the CDC that one of our producers shared with me. An updated study revealed 45%. This is not surprising, but it's just good to have the most updated numbers. 45% of all United States coronavirus deaths were in nursing homes. So that's 73,733. There's got to be something with that number. Deaths in U.S. nursing homes. We're very, very worried about a lot of things, but I think we should get our kids back to school and make teachers essential personnel so they'll be forced to do it, like everyone at the grocery store, like everyone at the gas station.
Yeah, they're not dropping like flies at the grocery store.
At all.
But yeah, the nursing homes, that's the scandal, is that's where the majority of these deaths
and they're not going to talk about it.
Lousy facilities, poor care.
Yeah, especially the state.
Put the sick back in there to make everybody sick if you can, which Cuomo did. Beautiful job of. Good work.
Well done. I wanted to share this Village Voice, which I think is gone now, isn't it? The New York Village Voice, did that close, or is it online? Maybe still.
I'm pretty sure. That's a good question. I thought it was gone personally.
With Michael Musto. I mean, when in the 80s, this was when I lived in Midtown in Hell's Kitchen, actually. The Village Voice, you read it. That was the heartbeat of the city, and it was a messy city. And this is an article from May 31st, 1988, when we were kind of in the middle of the AIDS crisis. And just to give you an idea, this is an open letter to Dr. Anthony Fauci, 1988, in the Village Voice. I've been screaming at the National Institutes of Health since I first visited your Animal House of Horrors in 1984. I called you monsters then, and I called you idiots in my play, The Normal Heart, and now I call you murderers. You're responsible for supervising all government-funded AIDS treatment research programs. In the name of right, you make decisions that cost the lives of others. I call it murder. And this letter is scathing about how much money was spent. It was only $374 million back in the day in 1984. That was a lot more money than it is today. And I think it's just good for everyone to be reminded. A lot of our producers and people out there listening weren't alive when this took place, but it was the same type of thing. The only thing that was different was, oh, you're not gay? You don't have to worry about it. You won't get it if you're not gay. It's no problem. But they went through the whole vaccines, the trials, and then they wound up eventually finding this, cancer drug that had been rejected, AZT, and that wound up killing a lot of people as they were on the treatment. It was a crazy time. It's all Fauci, and he got away with that. He got away. There's
Fauci's quite the character. The Village Voice ceased publication in 2017.
Okay. Well, I put this. I think it's a reprint in the show notes, nashownotes.com. It's very interesting to read. The guy has a track record of failure, in particular with vaccines.
He's not a failure. He's a track record of soaking at the public and the government for lots of money.
Well, there you go.
He's not a failure in his bank account's mind.
Speaking of such, another great article. It's a Sunday, so people may want to go read a little bit in what is this Epsilon theory? I have no idea what it is, but it's a rundown of the insider trading that took place at Kodak before the president announced. Holy crap! There are guys who made $400 million in stock increase.
Well, they should be busted.
They should be. I mean, it's all like the marketing guy. Oh yeah, I really believe in the company. That's why I bought a whole bunch of stock at $2.
Stock of a bankrupt company.
I still like the idea of taking a company that does something with chemicals and turning it into a hydroxychloroquine processing plant. That's a pretty funny idea. Oh wait, I have that. That's what I need to talk about. Here we go. Hydroxy. The people are wrapping this up in some way. You recall the Ohio Board of Medicine, I think, of Board of Pharmacists, they had restricted the sale.
Oh yeah, they banned it. I think.
Well, they banned it unless it was prescribed for something.
Unless it was for malaria.
Yeah, or lupus, exactly. That has been overturned. That has not overturned. They withdrew it. They changed their stance.
I didn't hear that on the Democracy Now! News report.
You didn't? Oh, well, that's weird. Even when the FDA commissioner was being interviewed on the Today Show, there was no mention of the turn back, I don't think. Let's listen.
Before I let you go, I have to ask you about hydroxychloroquine. It's in the news once again. The president retweeted a video promoting it. He even said, I took it for a 14-day period, and I'm here. I don't think you lose anything by doing it. The vice president said yesterday, many Americans have had positive experiences with hydrochloroquine. But the FDA actually revoked emergency authorization for the drug because it wasn't effective and it wasn't safe. It was potentially dangerous. So once and for all, should people be taking hydroxychloroquine?
So just to be clear, we revoked an EUA, an emergency use authorization, at the request of another government agency, BARDA. And this was for drug that was authorized for use in sick hospitalized patients. We had data that when this drug was combined with others, there were some risks associated with that. But the decision the question you're asking me is a decision between a doctor and a patient. A doctor and a patient needs to assess the data that's out there. FDA does not regulate the practice of medicine, and that, in the privacy of a doctor-patient relationship, is where that decision should be made.
Are you concerned at all about misinformation about this drug in particular?
What I'm concerned about is that FDA provide all the information about the side effects, the potential side effects, as well as the efficacy. As you know, these drugs have been approved for a number of years for other indications by the FDA. We know that they're safe in those settings, but we want to make sure that the right information is out to providers so that they can make this decision with patients.
Yes. Okay. Sure. So I think that message is kind of clear, but you can see and you can feel the fear in the medical community. You know, it's like the pharmacists are making political decisions and something completely new, which even the FDA commissioner says, well, it's between the patient and the doctor, whatever you want to do. You know, if you want to pee on straw to see if you're pregnant, you know, that's between you and your doctor, whatever you guys decide. I don't know why I came up with that example. I don't know where that came from.
Very strange example.
That's a very odd example. Sorry about that.
Is something that you've actually gone through?
I plead the fifth. Meanwhile, someone did catch up with Dr. Stella Emanuel in Dallas. She's the crazy woman who was saying there's a cure. It's hydroxychloroquine with zinc and zephyromycin. Oh, the crazy lady.
So wait, hold on a second. You ought to make sure that when they talk about her, they always talk about her alien thesis about
demon seed,
alien genes, and all this other stuff. They dig up all their weird crap on her. But meanwhile, anyone else can say whatever they want.
Yeah, and I looked at some of her videos. What she has an office in a strip mall, and it's next to her church, and she preaches at that church, and it's very to me, it's kind of a Caribbean vibe. You know, and the problem with it is
voodoo.
Could be, although she talks about Jesus and God. The problem is, and it's very typical for this, and it looks like a cable access program. It kind of sounds like this. So it's really not useful.
So it sounds like a Biden thing.
It's very not useful for clipping. But, you know, the mainstream goes after her and said, aren't you afraid? Aren't you afraid about the Texas Medical Board? They'll take away your license. And that's what it comes down to. Threatening doctors with their license because they make a decision that is not mainstream. And here's 30 seconds of example of this badgering.
You're going to run afoul of your medical license if you start doing that, aren't you?
My medical license?
Yeah.
So you think that I should defend my medical license over people dying? Over people dying?
Aren't you worried about losing it?
Losing what?
Your
medical
TMB license, yeah.
Really? Let TMB come after me. I should let people die because I'm scared of TMB. Or I should let people die because I'm scared of Anthony Fauci. I should let people die because I'm scared of WHO. I'm not scared of any of them. I'm not going to let people die. And if they come after me, it's going to be on.
Oh, yes, it's going to be on. I love her. I love her conviction.
If you can understand her.
Well, she says, I'm not going to let people die. I'm not take away my license? I'm not going to let people die.
Who's this douchebag news guy?
Local reporter. Yeah. And also how he approached her. And like, you're a nut job, so what do you mean? Zero respect.
Does she have a medical degree or not?
Yes, she does. Yeah, she does have a medical degree.
Well, then he should be. Yeah, what is he doing? He's doing remote reports from some local affiliate of one of the networks or worse. And he's a big shot?
Kind of. He's a big shot in Dallas, I guess. So the only other thing that we haven't talked about, is there's one other, it's bubbling under, I think the president talked about it a couple times. It's what is this other treatment? It's I don't know much about it. Hold on. It's antibodies, but it has, the
interferon?
No, interferon.
Interferon's come up in the conversation.
Really? Well, that was used for AIDS, so that makes sense. The AIDS is somehow involved in this, or the HIV is a part of this, or some gene is a part of the virus, I believe.
Don't you remember HIV has a big element stuck in the middle of this corona thing, and it was developed in the lab, supposedly as an alternative way of delivering an HIV vaccine, because it's impossible to stop HIV pure into sneaking into cells. You have to use this coronavirus. This was 4 months ago we were talking about this.
Yeah, it does sound familiar.
The HIV element.
Right, does sound familiar. Well, this is the monoclonal antibodies.
I think it's monoclonal.
Monoclonal. And that appears to be very promising.
But don't you have to get that by sucking the blood out of everybody?
I was going to say, I think, isn't that in the old days they'd go to the smallpox dead body and scrape open one of those, get the pus out, and then
yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
actually, that's how they developed the vaccine.
Yeah, well, sounds groovy to me.
Well, let's go to the old folks' home and suck their plasma.
Is that a show title? Suck their plasma? I don't know. We should
suck the plasma.
Probably work on it. All right. I don't have much else. Sadly, there's just hasn't been a lot of reports. It's all been the news has focused a lot on unemployment insurance stopping, which is worrisome.
That's Trump's fault.
Well, I think he gaslit them pretty well. It's Trump's fault because he wants the FBI building redone, and he only wants that because otherwise he'll have competition for his hotel in D.C. That's why he's put it in there. I think it's in there as for exactly what it's intended to be, to take it out as a negotiating point. Are they stupid? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I see it. It's like, okay, let's have something in there that I can say, oh, I really want it, it's important, and then they'll hate me for it, and then it'll seem like a huge sacrifice, but he doesn't care. Since when does Trump like today's FBI? He's had a few issues with them.
Yes, I think so, and probably still does.
Yeah. Then something very interesting happened. And this was Friday, and I was very happy. I don't think you don't have any Kaylee stuff, do you, today?
Kaylee is a Thursday special.
It's Thursday special. Okay, so I have a Kaylee Entremont. Now, we know that there was the antitrust hearing, again, the Silicon Valley companies. Early in the week, we talked about it on Thursday, had a couple of clips. And there was zero, but I mean really zero discussion of Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which is the whole, really the crux of the issue when it comes to deplatforming or silencing someone. Just to revisit, Section 230 said, all right, any computer service can host user-generated content. I'll just put it in understandable terms. And the service itself is not liable for what people say on their platform, unless they perform editorial functions, and therefore you are publishing, and it's not just free and open speech. And that, I think that really enabled huge growth on the internet. I've benefited from it. I think everyone's benefited. And now it's time to go take a look at it. Whereas, and the way I see it, even algorithms could technically be deemed as editorializing, maybe on an individual level, but it's certainly open to interpretation. And it's what the president has been looking at since May to do something. Now, so nothing came up in the House hearing with Google and Amazon and Apple and FaceBag. So he had promised that he has these new powers. Remember his executive order powers that somehow were revealed?
Yes, that somehow he wangled from losing a Supreme Court decision.
Yeah, so this is
like,
why...
What? How did you manage that? He was so gleeful.
Yeah,
it's like he pulled a fast one.
It's almost, and that's very possible that he was, I just want to get this ruling and then I can do whatever I want. And the way it stands, he can issue executive orders executive orders and such, and they will be valid up to 2 years into the next presidency, into the next term, whether that's him or whether that's whether it's Kamala Harris. Either way, so it's very binding and it's very annoying, and to get some of the new executive orders and some strange law which are written, or this interpretation has been figured out by the same guy who was able to convince everybody that torture is just enhanced interrogation. So we bought that shit, so we might as well buy into this. And he decided to get stuff started with a petition to the FCC. And Kayleigh revealed this in her, it was really a complete setup. It's the Aussie Ebony. No, not Aussie. She's from Australia. Ebony, what's her name? Ebony Bowden from the New York Post. Have you seen? You should probably look her up. You should do a quick little Google search on images. Because
Emily Bowden?
No, Ebony, as in Ebony and Ivory. Ebony Bowden, Bowden. And I think she's from New Zealand, from Australia, could be New Zealand. She works for the New York Post, and she had clearly written an article about this, spiked by the White House yesterday. Then she asks a question about it, and then Kayleigh, and now I'm convinced that when someone says, that's a great question, it's a great question because they asked the question you knew they were going to ask. I don't think we've analyzed that, but it seems that when we had late night talk shows with guests, and then clearly the host is asking a question that the producer has already discussed with the guest will say, great question. Like, thank you. This is one I know. And this is what happened with Kayleigh. Did you look up Ebony?
Yeah, what do you want? What am I supposed to be seeing here?
Now, if you can see her with a mask and without a mask, it's really, I hate to say it, she looks a bit like Erin Burnett without the mask. With the mask, she looks intriguing. The mask.
I didn't hear that. She looks what?
Intriguing.
I'm looking at a whole page of pictures of her, and I see the Erin Burnett look. She's got that for sure.
Yeah.
But I can't find one pic of her with a mask on.
Oh, well, she's got the mask on this in this video, and it benefits her. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just.
Well, she just looks terrific with a mask on because her eyes are so dynamite. That must be it.
Yeah, I think it focuses on her eyes and not the Erin Burnett mouth. All right, we've criticized women enough. Let's listen to Kayleigh.
Thank you, Kayleigh. I just wanted to confirm reports that Mark Meadows actually made an offer to extend unemployment insurance by 4 months.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I haven't spoken to him on that.
Sorry about that. I did my own clip fuck up here.
There were 4 that were. Ayatollah Khomeini calling for the genocide.
What?
I said keep it clean. You've been cussing a lot today.
Twitter's CEO asking him to remove tweets from Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khomeini, calling for the genocide of the Israeli people. The company refused to do that because they said that the tweets were, quote, comments on current affairs. I'm wondering if the White House has a response, given that Twitter has recently begun restricting the president's own tweets for glorifying violence, quote, glorifying violence and spreading misinformation, and if you have spoken to the president about any further action perhaps he's taking on social media companies.
Yeah, it's a great question, Ebony. I did see that New York Post story, and I thought it was very eye-opening, and it tells you where these social media companies stand, where they're not willing to assess the Ayatollah Khomeini's tweets, but they are willing to assess President Trump's tweets. It's really appalling, and it just speaks to their overwhelming, blinding bias against conservatives and against this president. And we are taking action. The administration is submitting a petition to the FCC for proposed regulatory changes to hold social media companies accountable for their censorship. And this petition that was previously reported on earlier in the week asked the FCC to end the loophole that allows social media companies to escape civil lawsuits for their own speech, fact checks, and deplatforming. And the petition seeks to expose social media companies to liability as a speaker or a publisher if they act as editors of content on their platforms or remove lawful speech based on politics. And very good work by the New York Post in highlighting that issue.
Oh, that really ruined it for me. Look, we know it's a setup question.
That was lousy.
Yeah, it's a setup question, then you're going to blow her at the end. That is nasty.
Yeah, it was bad.
So I
should have just let it slide and done a wink or something instead of that. Yeah.
Well,
by the way, I'm going to go back to your comment that we've been commenting on these women, which is like sexist and horrible and misogynist for some unknown reason. If somebody's going to make up their eyes like this woman does, she's asking for what she wants critique.
She received it, didn't she, then? You're asking for it. I think you just made it worse. I don't know. I think I mean, we're looking at this from television executive standpoints, which a lot of people miss. So it's worth
worth reminding them that that's what we do. It's just one of our bits. It's a bit. It's a gag.
Well, it's not just a gag. We deconstruct the promos, the teasers.
It's exactly the way this operates. If you go into one of these meetings with these executives, these suits, these creeps, they're worse. We can't even go there. Listening to them.
Yeah,
that's why there's been so much Me Too action in the broadcasting world.
Yes, because it's like that. It's exactly like even Ellen. Ellen is in the process of getting canceled. And you know what? It's one woman who's complaining. She says she didn't feel comfortable. It's a very racist atmosphere. And then, of course, some other people jumped in. Look, working in television production is toxic. It is. And it's no one cares about your problem. No one cares. The stagehands, just no one cares. Audio, lighting, everyone's doing their own thing. And it's like, get out of the way. It's harsh. It's brusque.
By the way, this reminds me, once in a while, you're doing some live broadcast. And there's a bunch of these, and with a full crew, and not with robots, but a bunch of guys on cameras and floor guy
like the
and
good
all
old
the rest.
days.
And you bring some amateur in to do something, and they get freaked out, and they start worrying about it. And you have to go over to them and say, "Look, these guys, they don't care about anything.
No,
they don't care what you do. They're just you could be naked, you could strip naked, and they would raise their eyebrows, maybe."
Yeah.
But maybe not. And it just don't even think about it because it's just not the way it works.
Exactly. And so if you look at broadcast news, yes, it's that kind of crazy environment that romanticizes it to an incredible degree. If you look at 30 Rock,
not anything like that romantically.
No. If you look at 30 Rock, very much the way it is. Very much so. It's all about the numbers. It's all about the show. You have the nut job executives. They're sexist and crazy. I mean, Alec Baldwin he's seen enough of it. He's a method actor when it comes to playing a television executive. Anyway.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I always thought 30 Rock was, even though it's done as a comedy, it's actually, which it is. I mean, that scene is kind of comedic, but in fact, it's
like a reality show. Yeah,
it's a reality in an unfunny way.
So I pulled up the petition that the president sent over, and this is so his request and the petition for rulemaking itself. Was written in May, so he was holding on to this. I think isn't that back when? No, I don't think anything was. In May, we were locked down, weren't we? May. Yeah.
I believe we were locked down.
So it was written during lockdown.
And we were ready to get over the lockdown, which was going to end in Easter.
So it's very technical. It's written in legalese, referring to Section 230 specific. It's really long, but I think. I just read a few, the first graph or two. So it wants to understand the interaction between some subparagraphs of Section 230, in particular, to clarify and determine the circumstances under which a provider of an interactive computer service, FaceBag, that restricts access to content in a manner not specifically protected by subparagraph C2, so that's all technical definitions, may also not be able to claim protection under the other paragraph. In other words, if you remove speech which is protected, but not protected under the Section 230, which is the very loosey-goosey, obscene. What is it? I think obscene is one of the words. If it's obscene, you can't put it in there. So the question is this action taken in good faith? Or are they deceptive, pretextual, inconsistent with the provider's terms of service, or taken after failing to provide adequate notice, reasoned explanation, or meaningful opportunity to be heard, things were removed? I mean, every single example that you can imagine of what social networks do, but also search engines, is in here. And who's the FCC commissioner? Is this did he put someone on there that will dance to his tune?
I believe the FC. Let me look him up.
Yes.
But I believe so. Yes, I think he's a stooge.
Yeah. Usually they're stooges for the cable industry. Oh yeah, Ajit Pai. That's the guy.
Yeah, Pai. That Pai guy.
Oh, he's a stooge. He's a total stooge. Where does he come from? Anyway. Oh yeah, here he is. He's the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission. He was designated chairman of President Donald Trump January 2017. Previously served as a commissioner. I think a hated commissioner. I think he's the one that said, nope, no net neutrality.
And yes, he's the no net neutrality
he is the net neutrality guy. Okay, good. So he'll take this seriously. And I'm pretty sure he'll...
this is the end.
Yeah.
All you're doing here in this little presentation is describing the end of the internet as we know it.
Well, I disagree.
Because once it slides over to the FCC, which we knew was inevitable.
Yeah.
Because of the net neutrality people, they're the ones who forced the issue. Right. Oh, we got it. They're all bent out of shape because everyone's going to get screwed by Comcast, which is possible. I haven't seen it. And the public that is all this pro net neutrality group, they're pushing it toward this, and Trump is like doing just a jujitsu move and pulling it along.
But it's going to just be Section 230, and that has to be enforced, and it does fall under the FCC, and I think that's a good idea. But yeah, I think Zuckerberg is hoping that he can have some kind of special carve out, or it's defined in some way that they can do it, or they've got to figure out. Isn't that what it's called?
I love that word,
carve out. Yeah,
it's a phrase.
Yeah, it's a carve out.
I haven't heard it for a while. Carve out.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Zuckerberg's living in a dream world, and I don't know that Zuckerberg would be against this, because once you establish these rules, it might make their jobs easier. They have maybe better excuses. I'm not sure. I mean, I'll tell you this. I have an offbeat story just to throw in.
Okay.
There was a major lawsuit against Google by somebody regarding Google did something with their search engine, or I don't know the details, unfortunately, but I was contacted by a massive law firm to be an expert witness on this particular case.
Now, is this recent or a while ago?
Recent. This is like within the last 2 years. And I said, "Oh yeah, I can do that because I believe that they're showing editorializing by." My comment was they're showing editorializing in violation of 230, which makes them a publisher. So all these operations should be considered. And I wrote a whole column about it, which I'm surprised they even called me after I reviewed the column. The column said that these people are publishers. Facebook's a publisher. They're just, what's the difference between them and the New York Times? I mean, the content is sourced differently, but it's still publishing. They're publishing, and they do editorialize. They take stuff down.
Yeah.
So how is that different than the New York Times? So I made this long argument about how important it is that we decide that these Twitter, Facebook, they're all publishers.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys, which I thought would be the way to go, this lawyer in this massive firm that's handling this case is, no, we want to do just the opposite. We want to prove they're not publishers.
Oh, well, you're calling the wrong witness, sir.
Well, that's what it amounted to. I never heard from him after we had a conversation.
Be careful.
I was all in until it was like I couldn't make that argument under any circumstances, especially on the stand.
How did he suggest? How did he suggest making the argument? Surely he had he tried to nudge you.
He just thought that the idea they're angling. The big firm was angling to prove that they're not publishers. And I don't know what the trick was at the end, that they were going to pull the rug out from under the case. I don't know. But the big boys want to make it clear that these are not publishers. And to this day, I'm baffled by this, when it's so obvious that they are publishers.
Yes. But I really want to get down to how algorithms fit in the space, because they are editing on an individual basis based on you, which makes it even crazier. It's like, well, I'm not going to give you this stuff. I'm not going to give you, just you. In this particular case, I'm not going to show you Adam Curry's tweets. It's not important to you for you to see what he's tweeting, even though you have I'm
following you.
Yes, we have a technical relationship. No, exactly. Well, there's a lot going on. There's one other thing I just wanted to highlight when it comes to...
Well, it has to be stopped.
Yes. When it comes to Silicon Valley, when it comes to people trying to make a buck and a career foolishly by thinking this would be a great idea to do it with, well, you know, some people feel they have a career on Twitter, Instagram, also, what am I thinking? YouTube, and let me see if I have this clip here, and TikTok. And this was great over the weekend. People on TikTok children were freaking out.
Yeah.
Their kids who have 800,000 followers, and I'm sure they have entire, sponsorships and who even knows if these numbers are correct? I mean, this is such a black box, this thing. And Microsoft has been in negotiations for several weeks to buy them. Microsoft bought LinkedIn, and they are the spy company, so it makes sense they just have more ways to spy on you. We're not on that Apple iPhone yet. We got the Windows part. And I think it was tough. And Trump just stepped in and said, I'm going to ban it. I'm going to turn that thing off, which was purely to help Microsoft with the price. It's so obvious, but no, you get all the children crying. Here's a TikToker who was on to the gambit.
Congratulations to all you panic drivers. Y'all just got played again. To be honest, this has actually been one of the most blatant bait and switch techniques I've ever seen used, and everyone fell for it. You see, instead of panicking when Trump said he was going to ban TikTok today, I actually did a little bit of research, and lo and behold, Microsoft was in talks with the parent company to buy TikTok. The talks were not going in Microsoft's favor. However, the United States makes up most of TikTok's market. If the U.S. banned TikTok, that would have been most of its user base. How do I know this? Because it was less than 12 hours later and ByteDance caved to Microsoft's demands. Don't just go by what the news says. Sometimes you need to look into stories a little bit more to actually understand what is all going on.
Yes, there's your journalist on TikTok. He figured it out. That was a bait and switch.
Talking like this.
Bait and switch. It was also sad.
By the way, technically, it wasn't bait and switch.
No.
I mean, if you're going to start using these kinds of terms for certain kinds of scams,
no, it was not.
This wasn't bait and switch.
Not at all a bait and switch. No, but the Face Bag is just completed a deal with all the publishers to so that people can use music and the dancing stuff. That's what ByteDance had. Is they had the performing rights to huge catalogs so people could do all these dances. And that's the secret. It's not that there's anything more viral or anything better about this app. It's just they have the rights so people can say, oh, I want to use that song. I'm in the house bored. I'm bored in the house. And then you hear that a million times a day. That's where it's making money. It's making money for the music publishers. But then there's real trouble with the alternative scene, and I will let Tim Pool give you the headline in 47 seconds because he does it like no one else.
Ladies and gentlemen, the war with Patreon is escalating, and this could be the equivalent of a nuclear bomb dropped in the culture war. This is going to get nuts. Sargon of Akkad and Lauren Southern have entered the fray, declaring war on Patreon. Let me slow down and explain what's happening, but let me not bury the lead. What is about to come and what is underway right now, if the legal pundits are correct, notably Will Chamberlain and Mike Cernovich, we may see the income of many high-profile left-wing channels completely stripped away. I'm talking about some of the biggest left-wing podcasts that exist could lose all of their money.
And he's gleeful, it appears. This cancel war and demonetization has gotten a little out of control. People are it's not just, I'm going to kick down your fort. It's like, you're not going to be able to pay rent. But this case is interesting. And what's happening here is very typical for Silicon Valley, although I think these guys, the Patreon guys, who essentially looked at the value for value model and said, we can sit in the middle of that and make money on it. And we're going to, charge 7% total. And then we're also going to decide if you belong on our platform or not. And we're going to just remove you if we don't like what you're doing with your content. Even though they don't really have a platform per se to host anything, they just have a payment with levels and rewards, etc. So they're canceling people from that. But what happened with I don't know, it wasn't Lawrence. It was with one comedian. He riled up his audience, and in the terms of service of pretty much every Silicon Valley company, there's always, I would say almost always, a provision that says, lawsuits, no, we're not going to do lawsuits. If you want to sue us, you have to go through something called arbitration. And arbitration is a specific process where you do it outside of a courtroom with, I guess the judge is an arbiter, a judge or some person of stature.
Usually there's a professional arbiter brought in.
A professional arbiter. And then you hash it out. And now there's recourse after that if you don't get to it. But apparently part of the rule is if someone files an arbitration or requests for arbitration, you as the company have to immediately set money aside for that arbitration process. And depending on your law firm and depending upon the request, can be up to $10,000. And so what they've done is they've just got hundreds of people are now requesting arbitration. And I believe it may even be related to Section 230 or more likely that they had already prepaid and their money didn't come back, even though the person was. It doesn't matter what it is. So they're flooding Patreon with these suits that all have to be pre-funded. And I think that it's now in the millions of dollars, and they may collapse under the weight of the arbitration.
That's pretty wild. I did not follow this.
Yeah, and so now, if you listen to Tim Pool, which should be done at half volume, you can you can understand that people are now considering doing this against other companies. Now, if you do it against the Google, I think Google is going to laugh.
Google's got more than enough reserves to handle 1 million of these.
But for a little Patreon who clearly got some advice from your typical Silicon Valley lawyer, I'm sure it was Wilson Sonsini.
Any one of three.
They bank with Silicon Bank. They have Wilson Sonsini as the lawyer.
Yes, it's always the same guys.
Yeah, it's always the same. I remember when we took our company public in 96, and I believe we raised like $19 million or something. It was very small. This is before the $1 billion raises. And we sat down with Wilson Sonsini the next day. Congratulations, guys. Way to get out. It's great. And they hand us a check for $15 million. $4 million. $4 million. Thanks, Wilson Sonsini, for taking us public. Or not taking it, for advising us. I'm not even talking about the underwriters. Anyway. What is kind of nice to know that this problem...
And now you're a podcaster.
And not only am I a podcaster, the podfather, but it hit me Friday night. I've not slept more than a couple hours a night. I figured out how to fix podcasting. And I'm going to do it.
This is the last time I heard. This was your exact mode. You go into this all the time, by the way.
Yes, I do. It's a cycle.
I think it's about every 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be longer.
Yeah.
The last time you had this was you actually, I can name another time before this one, but the last time.
Podcaster Pro.
Yes. Which Rode finally did.
Yeah, so I was right. I chose poor partners. That was my mistake. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And I learned from that. That was, I learned from the failure, and so did Rhoda, and I'm happy. Rhoda went, oh, poor guy, this is fucking great. We got all these bits.
And they never sent you a free one.
Never sent me a free one, and they almost have it perfected. If only they'd put a noise gate on the channel that comes in from the computer. I'm just going to keep saying it until they do it. Otherwise, it looks like a pretty decent device. Now, this is a fix that will fix payments. It's going to fix a whole bunch of things. I figured it out. And it may give us an exit strategy.
And are you going to discuss this openly?
Hell no. I'm not even going to tell you privately. No. I've learned. I've learned from my mistakes. But podcasting 2.0 is coming. I'm working on it.
Okay. I'm at pins and needles.
Yeah, that's all the teas you get. The next teas you get will be a pew-pew map.
Well, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, you went off the track, so get back on track.
All right, well, so I'm kind of done with Silicon Valley after I told that it wasn't off track.
I do have, by the way, I have one of those. It's not Wilson Sonsini, but there's 3 of these major law firms. They sue each other constantly. One is used by Intel, one's used by AMD, and there's a third one.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of them was involved with setting up Hack Reactor, one of the earliest and one of the, actually maybe the first, but one of the first of these intensive $10,000. You pay them $10,000 and you sit in your own sweat for a month and a half. And
incubator.
And you end up getting, not an incubator.
Oh, what are you talking about then?
These are these companies that have intensive coding classes where you get out of there. You actually get a high-paying job the minute you step out of these courses.
Oh, okay. Isn't that what Buzzkill Jr. did?
Yes. Yeah. This is where the story makes sense.
Uh-huh.
So Buzzkill Jr. did. Now he's he's working, makes good money, over, lots. Not enough to pay what he owes me, but that's the point. I don't want to get into that.
You just still got a chain on him. Good to know.
So Mimi, who is I don't know where she got this skill, but a long time ago, I think it's from all the book deals we used to do, and she got this skill for being able to read contracts because she actually enjoys reading them.
Yes, I'm aware.
That's the key to success.
Yep.
If you like reading them and looking for the gotchas, then call her up.
Yeah.
So she's reading through this contract, and it's the worst. She says the contract, the employment contract, everything that they have over there is a mess. There's no indemnification. There's no this. There's no that. There's no non-disparagement. There's all the stuff is missing. It's a piece of crap.
Right.
And she says, and she tells them how to fix the contract. And the guys that ran the place said, this is unbelievable. And then he names what this was done by and gives one of the big 3, one of those big law firms names.
Of course.
It's probably done by some intern. And it was just a scam. I mean, these guys aren't even doing their jobs, these big boys.
Oh, my goodness. So. Yeah. Typical.
Anyway, that's our complaint. We can go about inside baseball. It's not really that interesting to the public.
Well,
should probably stop now.
Okay, so let me go to China. I'll make it entertaining, everybody, I promise. Hopefully the TikTok news made you look at China a little bit differently. It is, and I think I'm bitching at a producer note we both got. It says, your China stuff is boring.
We got 2 of those notes.
And to me, it was,
China stuff is boring.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's do a follow-up.
Be nice to China.
Well, I'm not going to be nice to China, and I'm just going to say China because I feel that there's probably 90 million Chinese who are members of the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, and the rest of the Chinese are just looking the other way. So you have a responsibility. You're asshole. Here's Gordon Chang, who hates the Chinese government. He's written several books about it. This is about the mystery seeds that have been sent to people all over the continental U.S. now, which has been dismissed as a brushing scam, which means, and apparently this happens, sellers of product will ship something stupid to an address just to be able to say, yep, we shipped it off. That's a verified seller, so they can write a bogus review. Seems a little excessive, the amount of seed packets they sent out for just a review scam. And Gordon Chang, he's not buying it either.
I think that China is testing the response of U.S. officials to what in the future could be a horrible biological weapons attack. They're seeing how we react. Now, these seeds, even if they are, let's say, harmless, are invasive species. And that means that they can damage agriculture, they can cause harm to livestock, and they, of course, could ruin the environment. And so even if this were, let's say, a brushing attempt, which is what some people say, in other words, an attempt to generate online reviews that are fake, this can cause real harm to the U.S. And by the way, it's not just the U.S. The U.K., Taiwan, Canada, other countries have also been the subject of these unsolicited packages of seeds and soil. I think that they see that this is asymmetric warfare, that it's hard to identify the malevolence behind it. We know that China's People's Liberation Army in 1999 wrote that book, Unrestricted Warfare, China's plan to destroy the United States. And they talked about biological attacks in that book. Probably we are seeing them actually execute on part of that strategy right after the coronavirus, as you point out, Tucker, because China took steps in December and January to deliberately spread the disease beyond China's borders.
I mean, I wouldn't have conspired to come up with that. They're testing our defenses.
Gordon Chang is quite the character. We should probably follow him more and get more clips from him because he's really
he's interesting, right?
Insightful. People pay some attention to him, but I think we could pay more attention to him. I've always enjoyed whatever he has to say.
Yeah. It's just, in this case, I mean, they're testing our response to this. I mean, that freaks me out more than a lot of other things I hear about China. That's sneaky, and if they're doing that coordinated and seeing what the U.S. response is, and apparently other countries.
Well, if you go with the idea that China is, even though I think there's something of a exaggerated meme, that China's long term, the 1,000-year programs kind of thing.
Yeah,
and if you're going to go. If you watched enough science fiction, especially stories like SG-1,
Stargate 1, yeah,
there's these ideas that have been planted out there about this sort of thing where you could, poison a country in some way, shape, or form. Ideologically, it's being done right now by the education system and
the media.
That clip we played in the last show with these dumb girls saying the United States sucks and we should have a rainbow flag and stars and stripes should go away. And now we have all the kneeling, the baseball games that are going to end pretty soon, but they have a baseball game. Everybody now has to kneel. Why even play the national anthem? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh man,
everyone's kneeling for everything.
And we've been talking so much about sports, and I watched the whole The Last Dance. Did you watch that, by the way, The Last Dance with the Michael Jordan stuff?
No, but I have it queued up.
You'll enjoy it because it's not just about Jordan, and of course,
I have to. Since we talk about this one, so I do have to mention what's becoming a real guilty pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
I have obtained all the seasons of Chicago PD, which is the sickest show ever put on broadcast television.
Yeah.
Especially when you watch it from the beginning, the first episode on. It is incredibly violent.
Mm.
And, meanwhile, Hollywood's giving everyone crap about this. Oh, you're Trump. It's incredibly violent. It is about corruption the way they present it as a necessity. And it's just the damnedest thing. And it is structured beautifully. It's a Dick Wolf show, so it would be after all these years. He's got it nailed.
Yeah.
And it's a hell of a thing to watch. If it ever shows up on Netflix or anything, I'd recommend just plowing through it.
So how does that relate to China?
I had said so. You said something about a TV show. You don't want to change the subject.
I can't remember what it was.
You added about this thing you want me to watch about the basketball.
Oh yes. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So I watched the Utah Jazz play. God, I don't know. It was so pathetic, and they had on the back of their. So first they had the kneeling. And way to go, Jonathan Isaac, Jonathan Isaac, I think it is. Way to go, man. And he said, no. In fact, do I have a clip of him? I think I may have a clip. I was quite impressed by, I guess I don't. It's crazy. I thought I had that all clipped. I wanted to talk about it. Oh, here we go. Jonathan Isaac of the Orlando Magic. So he didn't put on the Black Lives Matter jersey. He didn't kneel. Now you have to know he's an ordained minister. I think he has a church that he preaches, and I don't know if it's his or if he's like some gig work, side hustle. But when I saw the other jerseys, the players had "Say Her Name" on the back, freedom, equality, justice. And the one white guy on the field, on the court, the one white guy had "ally." It was like, oh my God, this is so pathetic. Pathetic. And just "ally." Like, that's like racist by itself. You can't have "Say Her Name" on your shirt. You're an ally. You're just an ally. I felt very allied myself just watching. But here's Jonathan Isaac getting an asinine question from the press and an asinine follow-up. He's kind of hard to understand, but if you focus, you'll get it.
Make sure you unmute.
Hey, so I have a two-part question for you. So you didn't kneel during the anthem, but you also didn't wear a Black Lives Matter shirt. Do you believe that Black Lives Matter?
I mean, what kind of a question is that? Did these children go to journalism school and learn this? Let's ask the black man.
Apparently they do.
Let's ask the black man if Black Lives Matter. Come on.
Absolutely.
Well, stop. For context, was this a black reporter or a white reporter?
Well, she was on the phone, so we don't know. But she sounds Karen-y to me.
Absolutely. I believe that Black Lives Matter. A lot went into my decision, and part of it is, first off, is my thought that, kneeling or wearing the Black Lives Matter.
Can you even understand what he's saying?
Yes, I can understand everything he's saying.
Okay, good.
Don't go hand in hand with supporting Black lives. I do believe that Black Lives Matter, but I just felt like it was a decision that I had to make, and I didn't, feel like putting that shirt on and kneeling went hand in hand with supporting Black lives, or that it made me support Black lives or not. I believe that for myself, my life has been supported through the gospel of Jesus Christ, and that everyone is made in the image of God, and that we all fall short of God's glory.
Answer that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, am I able to follow up with a quick one?
Yes, please do. Go ahead.
Okay. So, Jonathan, I'm asking this with all sincerity. I just want to really understand your reasoning for that. Can you just explain further what you feel like religion has to do with kneeling for the anthem to protest against racism and police brutality?
I mean,
wow.
Thanks for the in-depth question, lady. What does religion have to do with it? Oh, thank you. And I appreciate Jonathan Isaac.
Clip of the day.
I didn't even.
What a dipshit that woman is.
She just wants a quote for a headline so she can hang up and go write it and be first and post it on Twitter. That's journalism today. But the whole thing is clearly Chinese influences. I'm sure that they want to see this on the games in China. They want to see this obedience from the players, no matter what the issue is. And you can't have your name, and I'm sure they love that. No names on their shirts, just like everyone else. You don't even need a driver's license. Whereas Major League Baseball, none of this, or at least not on the uniforms. They had fake crowd noise. So it just, and then you add in Jonathan Isaac, and he's talking about the church and religion, and that is a problem for China. And this is coming to a head as the deal is up for renegotiation between the Vatican and the Chinese Communist Party, who I think, as we've discussed, have created a separate Catholic church in China, the CPA, which is, I think, the Catholic People's the Church of whatever. It's bogus, with cardinals that are only approved by the CCP. I'm very suspicious of this Pope, who is making the deals, reported more than $1 billion just to go along with whatever they want them to do. and it's time to renegotiate.
Both the Vatican and the Catholic Diocese of Hong Kong are the targets of hackers allegedly backed by the Chinese Communist government. The Chinese Foreign Ministry calls the report, quote, groundless speculation. Chinese officials deny the allegations. A report from the digital monitoring group Recorded Future claims that since May, hackers have spread malware and accessed church offices in Hong Kong, as well as servers at the Vatican. In just over a month, the Holy See and China are scheduled to hold talks to negotiate how the church will cooperate with the Chinese communist regime.
Yeah, how the reporting is how the church will cooperate. They will cooperate. Even the reporting is like that. The Catholic Church is in huge disarray over this.
I would think so.
And a lot of producers have emailed me and really schooled me on what's going on. And, I still have, there's a new Vatican Constitution coming out, is what it's not what it's called, but it's kind of a new version of the Constitution. A whole bunch of cardinals are going to get retired. New ones are coming in. So everyone's very worried about this. And this Pope is saying a lot of stuff that Catholics do not like, and particularly about some core issues. So we'll keep our eye on that. But, you get to the church and you start changing that, then you start to change some fundamental ways that people believe, not today, tomorrow, but gradually in the future. And it seems to be kind of planned. It certainly is working with socialism in the United States. That seems to be coming in perfectly. We have, I told you that Jeff Bezos is the lightning rod of capitalism now. It used to be Bill Gates for a while, I think. Wasn't Bill Gates kind of the capitalist pig for a few years?
Yeah.
And
Gates was a capitalist pig. Larry, all capitalist pigs have drawn that top 5 list.
But what Warren Buffett is never called out as a capitalist pig.
No, because he presents himself as a nice, friendly old man from Omaha.
Mm-hmm. Well, Bezos is the socialists, the democratic socialists, but just kids who are not even ideologically affiliated, who gladly love all the benefits of capitalism. That's the woke infrastructure of Apple iPhones, Starbucks, and other places that have immunity. And even Amazon has immunity. Then no one is stopping ordering from Amazon.
No, they just don't like Bezos.
But they hate Bezos because he made $13 billion in one day.
In one day.
So now they're going after him personally, including the Seattle Council. This is Seattle City Council member.
There's a communist on that council, and the whole thing is skewed left.
She's a socialist. Her name is Kshama Savant. I believe she is... I don't know. I don't know if she's born.
We played a clip from her during the Chaz era.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, here she is going straight, and this is about the Amazon tax.
She's trying to drive. She is going to single-handedly drive Amazon out of Seattle, and the city will go into a depression. It'll Seattle, which is one of the few cities that actually has a vibrant downtown, and it's you can go. It's not like no offense to the people in St. Louis and Cleveland and these places back east that are just decayed city centers. Detroit, of course, is a good example. Seattle has never gone through any of that. It's been nice all the time. So San Francisco, I'd say, is the same way. It's not going to stay that way. It's going to end up like an East Coast piece of crap.
Can you explain quickly the Amazon tax, what that is?
I think it's a head tax.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they have to pay and that has to go to affordable housing, which I think Amazon has done. Bezos put $10 billion of the last quarter, I think it's all the operational profit, into upgrading whatever. But it doesn't matter. He's a slave driver, that man. Horrible. And they're going after him personally, and here she is.
I have a message for Jeff Bezos and his class. If you attempt again to overturn the Amazon tax, working people will go all out in the thousands to defeat you. And we will not stop there, because you see, we are fighting for far more than this tax. We are preparing the ground for a different kind of society. And if you, Jeff Bezos, want to drive that process forward by lashing out against us in our modest demands, then so be it. Because we are coming for you and your rotten system. We are coming to dismantle this deeply oppressive, racist, sexist, violent, utterly bankrupt system of capitalism, this police state. We cannot and will not stop until we overthrow it and replace it with a world based instead on solidarity, genuine democracy, and equality. A socialist world. Thank you.
By the way, she's from India.
She is from India, which is incredibly classist.
That is not an unusual way to be in India, and this is one of the reasons. This has held India back for probably hundreds of years. It's built into their mentality. Yeah, I would say mentality, the same way Western civilization. It's a conflict of civilizations.
It's in her DNA.
And so you plant somebody like that over in Seattle amongst a bunch of dummies, and they all lap it up. It's really hilarious to watch. I mean, it's like during the 70s, we had this thing with all these. There was this huge influx of gurus from India.
Yeah, and they all got land in Montana.
Well, they all did different things, but they had a sales pitch that was so alien to Americans.
Oh,
the Rajneeshis were one of the best examples. With their at the airports, they remember this. They were dancing
Hare
around
Krishna,
and signing you up.
Yep, signing you up with their orange. Was that Bhagwan or was that Hare Krishna? Bhagwan.
Bhagwan
is different.
I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
Rajneeshi was the main guy, but it was I forgot even the name of this group, but they were all very colorful, but their sales pitches alien to Western ears, and we easily are susceptible to it for some reason, because it's been very fine-tuned in India, which is a real hard sell. Selling in India is really not easy. So they get these sales pitches to this point, and that's what we're seeing with this socialist stuff. A lot of it's coming right out of India, whether it's controlled by the Chinese or not. The Chinese are sure not.
No. The Chinese are with Pakistan now. They're hating India.
Well, the point is that the message is very.
So what is the message then? What are they trying to sell? I mean, socialism, okay, got it, which she calls democracy.
They're trying to sell the defeat of capitalism. They want the capitalistic system done. Do they have anything to replace it with, if you ask them?
Socialism, she said
As you pointed out?
She said socialism.
No, they got nothing.
She said socialism.
Well, what is it?
It's not Jeff Bezos, apparently. Whatever.
Get rid of him and we're good.
Yes. If Jeff Bezos was murdered tomorrow, the kids would be dancing in the street thinking they won. They're idiots. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Now, before we take our break, since it's a Sunday and it can only be done on no agenda, if you didn't hear it, I thought the grilling that Jim Jordan did of Herr Dr. Fauci over the protests was so good that, of course, it didn't get a lot of airtime.
So it got no airtime.
Did you see any of it?
I saw a couple of clips, but I didn't hear the whole thing. I was always going to go back and watch it.
Yeah, so it's about 4 minutes.
But you have it?
Yes, I do. It's 4 minutes. If we either one of us has veto, if we're bored, then we'll stop it.
Well, hold on a second. I want to mention that people should take note of this, because Jim Jordan, who's a favorite of mine, was semi-banned on this show for some reason or other.
Really?
And I find it interesting that you've switched over to the other side.
I do not remember Jim Jordan being banned on this show. We have a ban on Rachel Maddow. We have a ban on Sean Hannity. We have a ban on John Kerry.
Tucker. Well, John Kerry's not even in the picture anymore.
Well, Tucker is just... there's no ban on Tucker. He's just...
Well, we're circumspect when we play Tucker.
Circumspect. I like his guest. Gordon Chang came from his show, so his guests are good. Yeah. Okay, anyway... Jim Jordan.
I'll stop it if I need to. Stop it in a moment, maybe to ask a question. But I would gladly listen to the whole thing.
Here we go. All right. It's a no agenda special.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Fauci, do protests increase the spread of the virus?
Do protests increase the spread of the virus?
Repeat the question while he's thinking of the answer, because, oh boy, he knows he's getting screwed here.
I think I can make a general statement.
Well, 500,000 protesters on June 6th alone. Yeah. I'm just asking that number of people, does it increase the spread of the virus?
Crowding together, particularly when you're not wearing a mask, contributes to the...
He's so nervous, he says masked instead of mask. He's Jim's Gordon. He's got him on. He's got him on the edge of his. Got him on the ropes already.
1 million protesters on June 6th alone. Yeah. I'm just asking that number of people. Does it increase the spread of the virus?
Crowding together, particularly when you're not wearing a mask, contributes to the spread of the virus.
Should we limit the protesting?
I'm not sure what you mean. How do we say limit the protesting?
Should government limit the protesting?
I don't think that's relevant to...
Well, you just said if it increases the spread of the virus, I'm just asking, should we limit it?
Well, I'm not in a position to determine what the government can do in a forceful way.
Well, you make all kinds of recommendations. You make comments on dating, on baseball, on everything you can imagine. I'm just asking you just said that protests increase the spread. I'm just asking you, should we try to limit the protests?
No, I think I would leave that to people who have more of a position to do that. I can tell you...
Government stopping people from going to church, Dr. Fauci?
Yeah.
Last week in the Calvary Chapel case, 5 liberals on the Supreme Court said it was okay for Nevada to limit church services. Justice Gorsuch said it best. He said there's no world in which the Constitution permits Nevada to favor Caesar's Palace over Calvary Chapel. I'm just asking, is there a world where the Constitution says you can favor one First Amendment liberty, protesting, over another, practicing your faith?
I'm not favoring anybody over anybody. I'm just making a statement that's a broad statement that avoid crowd.
What should he have done in this case? Because clearly he's been very, very adamant about churches, about bars, about restaurants. He's been adamant about everything because he obviously is not getting out of this.
He screwed himself by not beginning correctly. He should have started off with, I'm very concerned about this, probably as much as I'm concerned about anything else. And that neutralizes everything you just mentioned. So he's just admitting that it's a problem. Right. But that would throw Jordan off because now it's just, I just said that I'm very concerned about it.
Exactly. Now he's just down on the mat and Jordan's
he screwed up,
pummeling him.
Of any type, no matter where you are, because that leads to the acquisition and transmission. And I don't judge one crowd versus another crowd. When you're in a crowd, particularly if you're not wearing a mask, that induces the spread.
It's a simple question, Doctor. Should we limit the protest? Government is obviously limiting people going to church. And look, there's been no violence that I can see at church. I haven't seen people during a church service go out and harm police officers or burn buildings. But we know that, for 63 days, 9
Now, pay close attention to Fauci because he's just going to start sputtering and he's getting annoyed and he starts saying that it doesn't go well.
It's been happening in Portland.
Right. Yeah.
Well, one night in Chicago, 49 officers were injured. But no limit to protests. But boy, you can't go to church on Sunday.
What was I don't know how many times I can answer that. I'm not going to opine on limiting anything. I'm just going to tell you.
You've opined on a lot of things, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, but I've never.
This is something that directly impacts the spread of the virus, and I'm asking your position on the protest.
Yeah, I'm not going to opine on limiting anything. I'm telling you what it is, the danger, and you can make your own conclusion about that.
Opine. The only person who used opine to excess was Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly would use the word opine constantly. At the end of his show, every show, he would say, if you wish to opine, send me a letter at BillO'Reilly.com. That's not the same as Bill O'Reilly at Fox News and blah, blah, blah. But opine, he would use. So I'm now guessing that Fauci used to be an O'Reilly watcher.
Oh, my. Yeah, it is a word. It's like, who would use opine? I've never heard him use it either. Interesting. All right.
Yeah, I'm not going to opine on limiting anything. I'm telling you what it is, the danger. And you can make your own conclusion about that. You should stay away from crowds, no matter where the crowds are.
Government has stopped people from going to work. In fact,
You know what if he says, "Hey, you're such a ditto head"? Then we'll know for sure Fauci's listening.
Just in New Jersey 4 days ago, Ian Smith, Frank Trombetta were arrested for trying to operate their business, their gym. They were arrested. But my bet is if these two individuals own this gym were outside just in front of their gym, and all the people who were working out in their gym were outside protesting, they'd been just fine. But because they were in the gym working out, actually running their business, they got arrested. You think that's okay?
You know, I'm not going to opine on who gets arrested and who does
Again,
not.
the opine.
I mean, you get where I'm going. I'm telling you.
All right, so now he's trying to play the inside baseball card. Now he's like, "Hey, do you get where I'm going? Stop this, mofo. You're badgering me. Stop it."
You know, I'm not going to opine on who gets
Hold on a second. That's another mistake. That's exactly what he should have said. What you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Can you stop badgering me about this? I don't like the idea of these big crowds. That's all I have to say.
I think
and make him get off track.
Because he's already off. He's off the rails. He's frozen. He has nowhere to go. He can't think straight.
That's the problem. That's the problem with, and you're in these situations unless you're prepared. That's why they have these, these specialists that can, do a fake version of this, so you can be given the harshest questions, and they teach you how to get the right answers.
Yeah, how to do it.
But apparently, he never went to that. He didn't think he needed it. Well, he did.
That is, if these two individuals own this gym were outside just in front of their gym, and all the people who were working out in their gym were outside protesting, they'd been just fine. But because they were in the gym working out, actually running their business, they got arrested. You think that's okay?
You know, I'm not going to opine on who gets arrested and who does not. I mean, you get where I'm going. I'm telling you, as a public health official, I say crowds.
Do you see the inconsistency, though, Dr. Fauci?
There's no inconsistency, Congressman.
There's no inconsistency. So you're allowed to protest, millions of people on one day in crowds yelling, screaming, but you try to run your business, you get arrested? And if you stood right outside of that same business and protested, you wouldn't get arrested? You don't see an inconsistency there?
I don't understand what you're asking me as a public health official to opine on who should get arrested or not. That's not my position. You could ask me as much as you want,
advocated for certain businesses. You've advocated for certain businesses to be shut down. I'm just asking you on your position on the protest. I haven't seen one. We've heard a lot about hair salons. I haven't seen one hairstylist who, between haircuts, goes out and attacks police or sets something on fire. But we've seen all kinds of that stuff during protests, and we know the protests actually increase the spread of the virus. You've said that.
I said crowds. I didn't say specifically. I didn't say protests do anything.
So the protests don't increase the spread of the virus?
I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth.
No, I just want an answer to the question. Do the protests increase the spread of the virus?
I don't have any scientific evidence that anything. I can tell you that crowds are known.
Whoa! I hadn't heard that the first time. Because I have no scientific evidence? What?
So the protests don't increase the spread of the virus?
I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth.
No, I just want an answer to the question. Do the protests increase the spread of the virus?
I don't have any scientific evidence that anything. I can tell you that crowds are known, particularly when you don't have a mask, to increase the acquisition and transmission. No matter what.
So you don't have a position on whether the protests increase the spread of the virus or don't increase the spread of the virus?
I'm saying that crowds, wherever the crowds are, can give you an increased probability that there's going to be acquisition and transmission.
But do you understand Americans' concern? Protesting, particularly according to the Democrats, is just fine, but you can't go to work, you can't go to school, you can't go to church. There's limits placed on all three of those fundamental activities, First Amendment activities, but protesting is just fine.
And there's obvious reasons why you didn't see this anywhere on the mainstream. Not a single, maybe on Fox, maybe.
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe.
Fauci. There's a lot of good stuff in these hearings that we plan to show that never gets anywhere.
I harbor bad feelings towards Fauci. There's a lot of people I know, and one or two friends who died of these horrible treatments that he was. I'm not going to say he's responsible for killing people, but this guy, they delivered nothing. How many years now we've been waiting for something? Oh, we have PrEP. Okay. Nah, the guy's no good. And the fact that he's no good. The fact we put so much trust in him is just irksome to me.
Well, he's definitely got the It's irksome to Trump, apparently, after listening to him moan and groan about it, about the popularity of Fauci compared to Trump himself.
That's wrestler stuff. That's just wrestler stuff. You know, Mo made a good observation.
He definitely got that gene, that's for sure, because he was in the WWE for all practical purposes.
Yeah, Mo, I don't know anything about wrestling. I know a little bit, but he actually, on the show yesterday, he went into a lot of the parallels between, well, really Trump's history with wrestling. And when you take that into account and really, you don't even have to focus that much. He's playing the heel. He's playing the bad heel. He's got his, every single venue he goes to for his rallies are WWE venues. He goes to the same, it's the same show. When you think about it.
Well, there is definitely a lot of showmanship when he gives it. Unfortunately, a lot of people have not seen any of his speeches.
No, they refuse to because he's scary. Yeah.
I would recommend, if you've never seen a Trump speech, go back and watch one of them.
A rally speech. A rally.
Yeah. It's not a speech per se. It's more of a rally, a pep rally.
Yeah.
And Trump goes up there and ad-libs, usually about an hour, sometimes longer. He started off short. He was, I think, in 2016, 2016, he could only do about 35 minutes. Then he got to an hour, and then he's rewritten the act about 2 or 3 times, and it's highly entertaining. And he gets everybody all jacked up, and it's all presented in a certain way. There's always a couple of blondes behind him wearing the red hat, and they got the big smile. You don't even know if they're attractive, but they got this huge smile. And there's always about 3 black guys right behind him too. It's all staged. It's actually well done.
Yeah.
It's always pointed as his Mussolini look, to the left, to the right, usually to the left. He looks left and he shoves his chin up.
It's the best.
He looks like Mussolini.
It's the best.
And I mean, it's just unbelievable to watch these presentations. They're just so slick.
Completely different from Obama, but just as valid when it comes to entertainment value.
Oh, totally different than Obama. And of course, and then after the break, we'll have our friend Biden, who did come out of the basement for one talk in a place he didn't apparently know where he was. And we have clips of that, at least short. There's a lot of short clips of Biden. I'm trying digging up Biden stuff, and it's like pulling teeth, because he really doesn't do a lot. He stays home. His ratings keep going up, so they tell him, stay home, Joe, don't come out. And if he comes out, and his ratings will drop a few points because people got to see what he says, which is like dumb. And I don't know.
That is coming up. But first, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to the man who just put the C in circumspect, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry, and also in the morning, all boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
And a big in the morning to the troll room, trolls at noagendastream.com, trolling away quite well today. Let's take a look and see what we have. Do a little troll count here. We're almost at our 1800 pace, 1718. We're doing okay there. Trolls, good morning, in the morning to you. NoAgendaStream.com is where we can listen live to any of the shows that are done live. There's quite a few these days. But if not, then we have a select number of Value for Value podcasts running, and you can listen. It's a group experience. You can listen, you can troll, you can chat, troll each other, exchange all kinds of info. And if you hit up Doug in the troll room, then you can get an invite for NoAgendaSocial.com. And now featuring John C. Dvorak as a regular poster at NoAgendaSocial.com. Yeah, you are really, everyone's all jitty about you being there. Like, I wonder what John thinks. Let me tag him. I'm sure. It used to be me. Now it's like, oh yeah, John's here. Let's ask him. That's good. That's NoAgendaSocial.com. And in the morning, too, a very apologetic Sir Ned, who sent me an email. And in fact, this kind of showed up right after the show, after we posted it. Hi, Adam and John. I am Sir Ned, and I feel horrible about the art that I did, getting picked in hindsight and after the fact, which probably doesn't mean much right now. I saw this art on a trash can on Etsy, and was stupid not to modify it to make it more to my own than taking the glare out that it had on Etsy. I had no idea it was all over the internet on mugs and bottles and whatever else. It was stupid. Please do not. I did not search before I used. I am very sorry. So we take your apology, but it is a huge violation.
Oh, huge violation. Now, I did do a search. I could not find this.
Interesting.
But I would say, looking at the piece, this is a very high-end piece by someone who really knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
So we have to get in touch with them and then give them a plug or something.
Oh, I'd like to put the proper credit on. That's all I want.
Yeah.
And and as long as it's okay to use it, because it is a dynamite piece. It's just I feel like we took a lot of credit as a group, and we're really high-fiving.
The thing that bothered me about it was lopsided.
Yes,
I said that.
Yeah, you did, and that should have been the clue. It was lopsided because it was a reproduction. We both should have. We were tired. I was trying to make the record.
Oh yes, this is true.
That's what happened.
We have a thing people don't realize this because this is definitely off the books. It's not on the stream. But Adam has I think that's my doing. He has a production time. In other words, getting the show posted. How long does it take from the end of the show, the exact end of the show, to post time? Because we just do it. And I would say he broke the record currently. He was set last week was 24 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yeah, that was
that's
pretty
how
fast.
long the show takes to produce.
Well, I post-produce.
I mean post-produce.
Yeah.
Well, produce.
And that's all the way to posting on Twitter.
Yeah. And then boom, it's done. And that's the way all podcasts should be done.
Yeah. If you want to do it right, you do it like us. Damn it.
Now, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll figure out what to do about this later.
Well, anyway, thank you, Ned. Thank you for being honest. And if anyone can track down the...
Don't send stuff like that in. Well, why'd you send it in the first place is be my question.
Well, please, would you re-explain the rules briefly so people understand what we're doing here?
Yeah, you have to do original art, or if it's going to be derivative, it has to be fair use. In other words, you've had to change enough within the piece and mocked it or done something that makes it usable. If you don't know how to do that, professional artists do. Don't even think about using something you've lifted from someplace else.
No.
We have this. This happens about twice a year at every 100 shows. Maybe two of these, we have some issues with a piece or two.
Yeah.
Usually they don't get published, but this one did.
Yeah. Anyway, NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. That is where you can upload your original art, or obviously, if it's under fair use, that is original and for intents and purposes of this show, completely appropriate. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. That's where you go check it out. And we look forward to choosing a nice piece later on as part of our Value for Value network, and it's critical. These pieces get people to click. It's a reminder. People like the show. Sometimes it's just a reminder. Oh, yeah. Now I see it. There's something new there. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. And in our Value for Value proposition, we are very happy to thank a number of executive producers and associate executive producers for episode 1265.
Yes. I'm sorry. I was looking at it. I need to know that Etsy address. Ned's going to have to send it to me, or you have to send me his address. Let's thank some people for contributing here to the show. 1265. Starting with Janosch Moser in Deutschland. $390 would be our top guy.
Okay.
And he says, Shalom. As an assistant in healthcare, I finally got my Corona bonus payment from the Federal Republic of Deutschland, and since you two over the last months have essentially assisted me with your services to cope with the everyday insanities of this pandemic, I feel heavily obliged to share this bonus payment with you. I believe I'm reaching knighthood with this donation. So if I may, is he on the list?
Yeah, we have a couple on the list. He should have been marked. He should have been a marked man. Let me check.
So if I may, I would like to be knighted as Sir Mojay, Black Knight of the Pan Beyond the White Light.
Hey, he's not on the list.
That's it.
Should we be concerned? Is there a discrepancy?
No.
Okay.
I just put him on the list is what I would do.
Okay.
It's complicated name, and he's Black Knight. Well, you can't just call yourself a Black Knight. So that's out.
Well, but hold on a second. I mean, Eric is pretty good at this. I mean, that surprises me. If it was a knighthood, he'd mark it in blue and it'd be on the list, and it's not there. I mean, I want to believe Janosch.
Well, I don't see why we can't. He will be a Black Knight if we don't knight him today.
How about that? Why don't we do this? And we can read his note on Thursday. It doesn't seem completely timely at this moment, so that he might actually. I don't want to just omit just chop his title and remove the Black Knight.
We will be in touch with him, and we'll figure this out. Keep up your great work. He continues, and bless the whole tribe with the GOAT karma, and with the listen to that horn 93.
I don't know what 93 is, but we got this for you.
Oh my God! Listen to that horn!
You've got karma.
There you go. And we'll take care of you, Janosch. Just email us so we can figure this out. I just don't want to screw up the titles.
But once you become, anything can happen now. Yeah. We do have a theme song coming up, I believe, for somebody.
Is this Melanchthon?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I had almost everything ready to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present the Grand Duke of the Pacific Northwest, Sir Dwayne Melanchthon.
Woohoo! Sir Dwayne checks in.
Well, he sent in an email as a meetup report. Did you get that?
Yes, and that will be read in the, let me just double check, that will be read in the second, we have a lot of meetup reports, we have several, and let me just make sure we have that. Yes, I do have the Tigard, Oregon, Tigard or Tigard? Tigard?
I think it's
Tigard.
I don't know, it's something.
It's somewhere in Oregon.
But it's not Tigard, I think it's Tigard.
Okay, well, I'll do it now since it's short. Friday night, I had the no agenda privilege to attend the Oregon Local 33 meetup right here in Tigard, fill in the blank. We had a great evening of great conversation and appropriately distanced, maskless camaraderie. About 25 people showed up. Wow. And Tim, the organizer, did fantastic as usual. We had Costco hot dogs. Those are dynamite. I love the Costco hot dogs. Soft drinks and snacks. The high point was playing No Agenda Family Feud, which he set up wonderfully. Now, this is interesting, which he set up wonderfully. For example, the top 3 answers in the NA host family members category were Mimi, Theodorable, and Tina the Keeper. Hey, I want to know how to play this No Agenda Family Feud. And are the Dvoraks feuding the Currys like the McCoys? What is that? What exactly is going on?
That'd be the way it would work, yeah.
Please give us all some meetup karma and play the clip with that angry Korean lady on it. That's Tim's ringtone. I think Korean lady? Is that the Korean? I got a little bit of her here.
Yeah, it's a newscast.
Yeah. Let me see, and then I'll play the meetup karma. Just let her kick in for a second. Is it here?
You've got karma.
Anyway, Dwayne came with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
We appreciate it.
It's a nice number.
Yeah.
Anonymous is next on the list from Lansdale, Pennsylvania, $333. It's been a long time since I donated, but I wanted to send you a note. I've been listening since 2007. First emotional moment for me was the show 1263, Flibberty Gibbet, with a commentary about diabetes and insulin shots. The Trump attempt to do what everyone said they would and never did. Your thoughts are spot on, and many of the first diabetic pharmacy pickup was $4,000. Wow. It was covered with my dude named Ben Health package, but this raises serious concerns. We're also blessed to have you two. Thank you, NJNK. Love you guys. Please keep covering the pharma bull crap. I'm getting it ends.
I said I'm getting more health.
Oh, I'm getting more health and love out of the listening to you too than any chemical could ever do.
What? So So he agrees that. Oh, okay. So he used to pay $4,000. Right, but he was paying $4,000.
No one covered this, of course.
He was paying $4,000. He was paying $4,000 for insulin previous to.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
It used to be like $20.
Man,
it's cheap to make and it's generic, and I mean, come on.
Yeah. Jeez.
All right. Did he have any? No jingles, no crime. Okay. Onward with Sir Codes-a-Lot in Bethel, Pennsylvania, $333. He has a few jingles. He wants new business, goat karma, Trump, Pelosi, jobs, and Obama, na. Batman theme, love song, the work you gents do. It's about time I became an executive producer.
Yes.
Right. Some web software development work has started to come my way as a side gig. I'd like to turn it into a full-time business. Anyways, I'd like some Trump, Pelosi, jobs karma. I've already had double my income for this new business, also for my sister and her husband. They just bought a fur business. Here's an interesting question, and possibly to my, Mimi's been buying, because especially on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Furs are just no. Yeah. So she's been buying mink coats for probably the last 15 years. And she picked one up and she tracked the origins of this coat. She got it for I don't know, it's like $100 or something. Wow. Maybe not even that. Mm-hmm. And she tracked the origins. It's a $10,000 coat.
Sure. Back in the 80s. How old is it?
I don't know. I don't know the details. It's beautiful.
That's got to be full length.
No, it's a monster. Yeah, I could wear it.
Now, okay, that is something I would pay actual money for, is to see you wear the mink coat. And you got to
put it on, take a photo
with a pimp hat.
I'll put it in the newsletter.
Yes, with a feather, like Huggy Bear.
Don't have the hat.
It's all right. We can provide. It's all good.
Yeah, sure.
I love that. Okay, newsletter, and it's a promise.
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No, I'm finished.
Oh.
He continues. Here's an interesting. Sir Codes-a-Lot. Here's an interesting question, and possibly to my own embarrassment. Is there a particular finger that's used for a signet ring? Though I have been knighted, I haven't requested my ring, and I wasn't sure if there was a particular finger for the ring it's used on. Kindest regards. Do we have an answer to that question?
I think whichever one it fits on is pretty what everyone goes with. And
you give them the ring size. So it's going to fit on whatever finger you want it to. It probably won't fit anyway. You got to put it on a different finger. I don't know. I have no idea.
There is no appropriate finger, and I have also seen it used as a toe ring. So that is it. I can't remember where, but I've seen a No Agenda night ring as a toe ring. It's a possibility.
Jobs. And jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
I should mention that's an experimental jobs karma. Mm-hmm. Catherine McConnell's next with $250 becomes the first associate executive producer for show 1265 in Calgary, Alberta, where all the money used to be. Love the show. Shout out to Diana, who hit me in the mouth a few years ago. First donation, AP level. She needs a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
She's planning to attend the Calgary meetup on August 2nd with Sir Michael and the gang. And she'd like to hear Stop the Hammering, Putin on the Ritz, and China is asshole.
Okay, I think we can do both of those requests for you.
Stop the hammering!
If you're blue and you don't know where there's fake news, why don't you get your Gitmo fix? Putin on the Ritz.
Donald Trump, don't trust China. China is asshole.
You've got karma.
Cheryl Wetzel comes up with $250 from Mount Laurel, New Jersey, your old stomping ground. Mm-hmm. She sent a note in. which is quite entertaining. I've been listening since earlier this year, and I traveled throughout the Northeast for medical diagnosis sales. Diagnostic sales. So she's a saleswoman that sells gear. Then COVID. Lab testing and sales took a huge nosedive because apparently all other diseases and medical conditions ceased to exist.
It's over.
When COVID-19 began.
Yep.
All resources have gone to COVID testing. Nothing else matters. And every lab on the planet is doing the testing. PCR and antibody. Most have multiple testing platforms. There is no shortage of testing, and we are often testing the same people multiple times. Bull crap. Business is getting better slowly. The real reason for my note and donation is totally for your stay safe comments during the show 1262. It has been something that has irked me since day one.
Oh, here we go.
This madness. I have been spewing profanities about the subject while listening to the show. When I heard John say, "Go F yourself," as a response, I was filled with joy and happiness. My thoughts exactly. It really hurts these days when I hear "stay safe," because my daughter was just deployed, and more than anything in the world, I want her to stay safe for all that military serving our country, and I want for all the military in our country to stay safe. Do you have a karma jingle for that? I would like to get a de-douching for my amazing fiance, Mike.
All right, hold on.
You've been de-douched.
ARMOCIDA.
All right, so we crashed. Could you say again who the de-douching is for?
The de-douching is for her super amazing fiance, Mike.
You've been de-douched.
She continues with, it's a joint checking account. He loves your show as much as I do. The check was get both their names on. Is the reason she says that. And in case we needed clarification. Anyway, thanks for making some sense out of all the craziness, Cheryl. Thank you, Cheryl.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if I have any. I don't have a safe. I don't have anything stay safe. But we can just say it. Stay safe, karma. There you go. It's well intended.
You've got karma.
Onward with J. Robert Appleby Jr. in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, who sent an email in, a very short one. Hey, guys, funny story surrounds a strange number I will reveal in December when my wife and I reach dual dame and knight status. Looking forward to making it after all these years. From a dude named Bob. He's established a mystery.
Does he need any jingles?
Nothing.
Or karma? I'm going to give him a karma. I'm feeling good today.
You've got karma.
Onward with Anonymous Goddess, $200 as we start to wrap this segment. Anonymous Goddess signing in after a successful Deutschbag meetup. Please see meetup report from Douchebag Ray. Email to Adam. Donation is from the 4 listeners. And this is a group donation.
Yes.
2 tag-alongs. And that we hope thoroughly hit in the mouth. Our 2-hour meetup turned into 6 hours. Of course, you can do that.
Yeah.
Of beer-soaked camaraderie. Thank you, John and Adam, for bridging the gap between culture, age, and gender. Please de-douche my 5 meetup companions and give us a good to be here, bro, from Dr. Fauci.
No, I think it means Brolf. Brolf. It's a Brolf from Fauci. Now, actually, the meetup report is really nice. It's 45 seconds, and I think since they all pooled in and got an associate executive producership, we should play it right here.
In the morning, it's the Deutschbag meetup with Anonymous Goddess.
By the way, she sounds a lot like Willow. And I don't know if you remember how Willow. That's so much like my sister.
Sounds, sure.
Sounds a lot like her. Not like her.
In the morning, it's the Deutschbag meetup with Anonymous Goddess in Kaiserslautern, Germany.
Not Kaiserslautern. Kaiserslautern.
In the morning, John and Adam and everyone else that's listening, I'm from Ireland. My pronouns are Ziz, him, and Ziz. I want to recommend the No Agenda Meetups website. It's good. It's good. Check it out. Because I didn't know there was a meetup near me, but there was one. Amazing.
We're sitting here waiting for the Hof.
It's not Kaiserslautern. It's Kaiserslautern. Douchebag here, but having a good time. Just meeting people with small amygdalas and, having a good time.
All right.
In the morning.
In the morning.
Apparently, I mispronounced the The venue. I like the Irish producer whose pronouns are Z, Zoom, and what do you say? Z, Zoom, and Zeus. My pronouns are Z, Zoom, and Zeus, please. Yeah, you can just call me Zeus for short. Thank you very much. And of course, we have...
Good to be here, bros.
That's one hot
Bros.
baby.
And a karma for y'all.
You've got karma.
Last on our list for show 1265 is James Churf in Addison, Illinois, 200. And he has a short note, says, thanks for all you do. I need a dose of bottled karma for use at my discretion. Keep up the stellar work, Jim.
Okay, I'll open the cork, but you got... Wow. You hear that?
You got to siphon it in yourself.
Yeah, do you hear the thunder? Holy crap. Anyway.
I heard a boom.
Yeah.
You've got karma.
And that concludes our thank yous for these executive producers and associate executive producers, as this show is produced by the people who put it together and who also consume it. It's like eating your own dog food, only it's much better. Thank everybody for participating. The only way we can have these conversations, if you made it so far in the show for the first time, you'll understand why there's no commercials or corporate interest. We're also reasonably uncancelable because of the choices we made a long time ago, which means a life of simpleness as a podcaster. We go through life as simple as we can, and we will be thanking more people who supported this program in our second half. Please think about going to our website, our donation page, to support us for, wow, 1,266. That'll be on Thursday. Just go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
No other place lets you hear the full Jim Jordan with Fauci except here.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order. Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
I want to get into the Biden clips.
Okay.
There's a bunch of them. There's only one that's kind of long. And the only reason it's long because it's the one that exemplifies the I guess is now routine sound gaffe.
From the Biden team? Or
yeah, this is Biden in Delaware. He's always in Delaware speaking. You'll hear where he's from. But I want to play an intro clip, which is Chris Wallace. This has been produced by somebody, so there's a bunch of noise in the background. But this is Chris Wallace after he did his interview with Trump, now moaning that Biden won't do the interview.
In our interview last week with President Trump, he questioned whether his Democratic opponent, Joe Biden, could handle a similar encounter. Well, this week we asked the Biden campaign for an interview, and they said the former vice president was not available. We'll keep asking every week. The fact is, the president is out there. He's out there in this broiling heat with me for an hour, took all the questions. You can like his answers or dislike them, but he had answers. And Joe Biden hasn't faced that kind of scrutiny, hasn't faced that kind of exposure. You got to feel at some point he's going to come out from the basement. I know he's done a few events, but pretty selected and oftentimes just reading from a teleprompter. He's going to have to be more exposed and take questions just as tough as the ones I asked this president.
Okay.
So I went and found the latest thing Biden did, which was I think the 28th, and you can see why he's not going to ever do Chris Wallace. This is Biden opens. This is when he comes out, hits the mic, and says the first thing he says is he's got the place wrong.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Kingswood Community Center. Actually, that's the one down I used to work. As a joke, you didn't know where we were. Anyway, it's great to be here and back at a place where I want to thank Wayne Jefferson for having us here at the Hicks Anderson Center.
Oh my gosh, I'd heard the first bit. I hadn't really heard the full. Yeah,
he had to dig around to try to remember where he was.
Yeah, and then played it off as a joke. You can hear him
stalling. I want to thank so-and-so for inviting me to the then it dawned on him where he was. Because he had screwed up so badly, he went into a long story about this guy Hicks. Right. And it went on for 5 or 6 minutes because it just to prove that he knew he could remember these sorts of things. That was pathetic. So we have some. These are all randomized. I can play just a short 5-second one where he struggles to say the word accumulate. He tries to say it twice. He really screws it up on the first attempt and then kind of screws it up on the second.
Many of you are from families like mine, middle-class families. Where do we accumulate? Where do my parents accumulate any ability?
It's a tough one with dentures too. Accumulate. It's not a denture-friendly word.
No, it's not. But you can say it. You can say accumulate. You can slow down and say it. It's not hard to say. Okay, now we go to civil rights leaders. This is talking about this. You just have to listen to these clips. They're pretty much self-explanatory. They're crazy.
And it's the story of 2 civil rights heroes we lost last week. One who shows the way forward. Each of them, their separate ways.
It would have been easier if you just said, "I can't tell them apart."
He says he can't even say. He doesn't say civil rights leader.
Let me just hear it again.
He says something. It's the word is. I couldn't even hear this word.
Let's listen.
Play it again.
And it's the story of...
Hold on, I got to mute because the thunder's... it's very possible that the power might drop.
Okay.
So
we're aware of
just
it.
so you know.
And it's the story of 2 civil rights heroes we lost last...
It's lyrics. It's like...
Civil rightsers.
Civil rights lyricists, I think he said. Civil rights lyricists.
And it's the story of 2 civil rights heroes we lost...
Okay, I mean, it's a little right.
And it's the story of 2 civil rights heroes we lost last week.
The zeros.
One who shows the way forward. Each of them, their separate ways.
This is good. Hey, if you start talking like that, I'm pulling the plug, okay? The show fucking ends. I'm sorry. The show ends.
Talking like that, I'm not going to be happy. So let's go
I will alert you to this.
Now, he's talking. Now, this is what I call this is a longer clip. This is actually 45 seconds. This is, I call it the weird clip. This is Biden spoke to John Lewis. Apparently, before John Lewis died, Biden spoke to him. So I maybe phoned him. I have no idea.
Oh.
I spoke to John just before he died. He was on his deathbed. And they said he could talk. He wanted to talk. Instead of answering my concerns for him, he asked about me. He asked about us. He asked that we stay focused on the work left undone to heal this nation, to remain undaunted by the public health crisis and the economic crisis, taking the blinders off in this crisis and showed the systemic racism for what it is that plagues this nation. People have seen now. Those people allowed them to shelter in place. All those folks risking their lives, stacking the shelves in the supermarkets.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
He goes off from the civil rights movement to sheltering in place. He's just rambling. No, he's just really pathetic.
He basically does, his whole speech is one big segue. Just goes for,
Here's a little short one. Here's Biden saying nothing. This is the Biden says nothing clip.
I have a feeling that he's full of crap. He didn't even talk to John Lewis on his deathbed.
Oh, I believe you're right.
I mean, and then he was dying, but he wanted to talk to me. Okay.
This moment of crisis, understanding people's struggles, and building a future worthy of their courage and their ambition to overcome.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's just random here. He just says, but nobody ever, people listen to it, these reporters, okay, whatever. If you actually listen to these little sub clips, you listen to what he's actually saying, it's just random words.
Yeah, at this point it is. It's not really stringing them together. But okay, just pretend it's not happening. You don't actually see that. You're crazy. There's nothing wrong. Don't report on that.
Shorty. This is Biden's. This is communities of color.
Okay.
In good times, communities of color still lag.
Hold Hold on. Still what?
In good times, communities of color still lag.
They lied?
I have no idea what that word is.
In good times,
he's becoming Irwin Corey. This is Irwin Corey, this guy. Professor Irwin Corey is a comedian who did double talk and made up words and stumbled his way through, bluffing his way through these lectures, these comedic lectures. And this is exactly what Biden sounds like. He has these words like, what is that word?
The universal consensus is lag. Lag, L-A-G. Well, listen again.
In good times, communities of color still lag.
Whoa. I actually felt that one.
I heard it. It was great.
I'm going to leave it open.
Leave it open.
Yeah, still communities of color. Whatever.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Now, he did take a couple of questions that were dumb, and they were softballs, and they were done by the media trying to make him look good, and they kept this whole thing under wraps. Trying to find a copy took me a while. So here is here's one of the reporters. I think this is I think she's from NBC. This is meet face-to-face question.
But will you get to meet with them in person, do you think?
Well, what, I'm sorry?
Will you be able to meet with them face-to-face?
Well, we'll see.
You're going to have to wear masks.
They will have to wear masks.
Will you get tested, do you think, if you have to do that for COVID?
I'm not prepared to say much more now, right now.
Okay.
All right. So this is probably the best clip you have. I have spoken to my great-grandmother, one of my grandfathers, and they sound like this at the end. And listen how she's speaking. She's speaking like she's talking to a very old, feeble person. Listen again.
But will you get to meet with them in person, do you think?
Do you think you have to be, when you talk to old people who are crumbling, you have to be kind of sweet and sickly? It's what you do.
Well, what, I'm sorry?
Yes, I didn't notice this, but I think they all did. Oh, like I'll be talking to you, you're 90, I'm the young girl reporter, I say, are you okay? Are you going to wear a mask?
Yes. No. She said, you'll have to wear a mask, right, Grandpa? You'll have to. Listen again.
But will you get to meet with them in person, do you think?
Well, what, I'm sorry?
Will you
get to meet your grandson, your great-grandson in person, do you think? What?
What, I'm sorry?
Will you be able to meet with them face-to-face?
Well, we'll see.
You're going to have to wear masks.
You're going to have to wear masks.
If you're going to take it to that extreme, when she asked that initial question, he leans toward her and goes, "What?"
Yeah,
and makes her repeat it. I think I only got the repeating part in.
He needs one of those horns in his ear.
What? He needs a horn in his ear. That's exactly what he needs. So she followed up with one more question. Have you ever been tested for COVID? And he admitted that he's yet to be tested even once.
Well, he didn't even really say that, I think. Let me see.
No, she asked again.
I'm not prepared to say much more.
Not on this clip.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. All right.
I'm just telling you what I did not clip it.
Oh, so he's never been tested.
No, and he said it again. He still hasn't been tested, and this is the 28th of July.
It's an ear trumpet, I'm reliably informed, not
ear
a horn.
Trumpet,
ear
yes.
trumpet.
That's what he needs.
Ear trumpet.
So I have the last of the well, first, before I play the end clip, this is the Delaware end. This is his best clip. Or not the best, but the end of the whole thing, because he makes a very interesting old man comment at the end. But let's listen to this is a long clip. It's 2 minutes. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. But this is the classic Biden clip where something goes, you should listen to at least a little bit because they start yakking. This is the clip where somebody flips a switch or pulls a plug or puts the wrong plug in the wrong thing. Right in the middle of a speech, this happens.
When a house is an asset that helps build equity and wealth, the home ownership disparity denies equal opportunity. My housing plan is going to be a major contributor. From a $15,000
shut the door
first-time home buyer tax credit.
That's someone who's testing a mic and opened it up thinking it was a pre-fader, and they just open it up. That's the B team again that they always send with Joe.
Now they start talking.
No. Which means they know once the deal is through, they will get paid the down payment. Expanding affordable housing. To reversing Trump's efforts to gut fair housing enforcement. He's now trying to scare the hell out of suburbs, saying these rules that Biden president put through.
Wow, this is the final audio they had.
Yeah, this is the one that went out.
Oh my God!
Are going to be causing you to end up.
Oh, and now it's splattering.
Black neighbors next to you. That's supposed to scare people.
Oh shit!
We'll remove the barriers to home ownership.
Oh my gosh!
Too many Americans, color, pathway to the middle class. We're also going to have to remove another piece of systemic barrier. Too many black people. What's holding back?
You can stop it. I would just tell everyone
it's another minute of that, just like that.
2 minutes.
Oh, wow. I thought it was going to come back. I'm like, okay, something good here, but that's the whole... Oh, jeez.
And they're yakking in the background, talking about something. I don't know, somebody flipped us. I don't know what happened. But why did it happen at all?
Well, who is
anyone monitoring? I don't think anyone's even monitoring him at all. They're not listening. There's no headphones. There's no supervising audio engineer listening in to make sure that something's not screwed up that he can fix. They just, you guys boring anyway. Who gives a shit?
And I'll say,
he feels the same way. And this is I call this the end clip. And
wait,
what does he say as he walks off the podium?
Okay. Here we go.
Anyway, thank you so much. Appreciate the time. And I'm getting out of your hair. Thank you.
I'm getting out of your hair.
Yeah. What kind of an end to the speech is, I'm getting out of your hair?
That's how winners talk. Winners talk like that. In today's world, where this... Okay, I want to go back to the audio for a second. At the Ellen Show, where people are in high-end production mode, the way television has been, certainly since I've done it, and that's 1984, it's brusque, it's not always friendly, but that doesn't happen because there's people checking and it's professional. These are people who are, probably complain about, hey man, don't be so mean to me, okay? Sorry about the mic, what could I do? It's not a professional outfit, and it's probably if he can't even get this right after months, just imagine how well the country's going to run.
Endless show material.
Now, did he at all mention his campaign, his platform that he's running on? Was there anything about it?
It was kind of, he kind of came in and out of some of the things he wants to do. It wasn't, exciting. It's hard to isolate.
Well, it's Build Back Better.
Rambled. It went to an hour. He said, rambling for an hour. Blah, blah, blah. Let me get out of your hair.
All right, let me help him. Let me help him. His campaign is, they've changed it now from no malarkey to Joe can do it to Build Back Better.
Yeah, that's a winner.
And the Build Back Better consists of 4 points: mobilize American manufacturing, innovation to ensure the future is made in America. Thanks. Mobilize American ingenuity to build a modern infrastructure and equitable, clean energy future. 3, mobilize American talent to build a 21st century caregiving education workforce to help ease with the burden of caring for everybody. And mobilize across the board to advance racial equity in America. That's really his Build Back Better. Build Back Better. Build Back Better. Build Back Better. I was watching the United Nations feed, as I often do, to find out what the elites are up to. The Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, came on. I think this may be from Thursday, and, he discussed his plan.
But the COVID-19 pandemic can also be a moment for resolving long-standing conflicts and addressing structural weaknesses. 4 sets of priorities can guide the response to Build Back Better and achieve the Sustainable Development Goals.
And then flashed on screen, Build Back Better. Okay. So it's the same campaign as the United Nations. Stay tuned, there's more.
First, immediate measures to slow the spread of the disease, end conflict, and meet the urgent needs of the most vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Second, we must deepen efforts to address inequalities by investing in universal health and education, social protection floors, and technology. The region is home to the world's largest gender gap in human development.
Equity.
COVID-19 recovery is an opportunity to invest in women and girls, ensure equal rights and participation, which will have lasting benefits for all. Third, boosting the economic recovery through reimagining the region's economic model in favor of more diversified green economies.
Green economy.
And that means creating decent, sustainable jobs, introducing progressive taxation measures, ending fossil fuel subsidies, and taking greater account of climate risks. Now is the moment to prioritize human rights, ensure a vibrant civil society and free media, and create more accountable institutions that will increase citizens' trust and strengthen the social contract. All of these steps are pivotal to helping the Arab region build back better.
It's the same. It's the United Nations plan. It's even named the same. Build back better. It's the 4 basic same points. Now, if a podcaster,
kudos for finding that one.
If a podcaster in Texas can do this, we should be making bank. But no,
unbelievable. Well, I do have one last little Biden tidbit. Because he does, we don't get to catch these. These are all local. You have to go to local affiliates to catch these little interviews he does on the local channels around the country. And he does them in the basement. But here's one. I don't know when this came from, but he's doing an interview with some guy, and Biden thinks his mic's off. He said something disparaging, and then his handler at the other end cuts him off and tells the interviewer, sorry, this is Biden irked with interviewer cutoff clip.
You wear the mask so you don't make somebody else sick. Sick. What's with this guy?
Steve, that's our time.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, your president, your next president of the United States of America
is also very normal. Nothing to worry about here.
Yeah, it's great. Nothing to see here. Everything's normal. We're all good in America. It's all good. My goodness. You promised us news on Epstein.
Yeah. Well, I've got the Epstein papers. I got the 2,000 pager that's got less redactions. It only has a few, actually. And I've been going through them, and I can't say much. I do have a clip of somebody. This is Sagar. This is a long clip, but I'm now getting harder to clip Sagar and K-Ball because they're too wordy. But let's listen to their little takeaway from the Epstein. This is Sagar on the Epstein docs.
Some breaking news this morning. Late last night, some of the Epstein documents were unsealed by a judge. Now, these
before we go in, did they mention that some of these documents were redacted, but that they redacted them in the wrong way, so you could basically just get the PDF, copy, paste into a notepad, and all the redactions went away?
Well, here's a little background on this. So there was a number of feeds to get various copies of this. There's a short version. The one you want is the 2,000 page.
Yeah, it's in the show notes,
PDF,
by the way.
It's huge.
Yeah, in the show notes.
And that you have to get from
the show notes.
Mega.
The show notes.
New Zealand. It's the operation that was stolen from the Mega Upload guy. And they have it is pretty much already not redacted. I have gotten a couple of copies of different other files that supposedly you can do that trick they talk about. I have never been able to execute it. I think that is bullshit. Unless somebody has done it, I don't believe it. I think that's just bullshit. It wasn't redacted improperly. It was that's bullshit. It's just not true.
You're saying bullshit a lot.
At least unless somebody can do it and show me a copy and that I can work with. It's not happening.
You're saying bullshit
But the fact is, the main 2,000 page one has got very few redactions. It's almost none until you get to the appendixes. They still keep the John Doe, Jane Doe stuff going on. That's really where the problem is, figuring out who those people are, because that's almost impossible. I will say this about the documents in general, and K-Ball and Sagar don't really talk about this. Trump is mentioned in there quite a bit, 2 or 3 times. I went through it. Luckily, it's a big.
Well, he's mentioned as not having done anything and nothing
not
wrong.
having done anything, but floating around. And my favorite one is somebody grilling one. I think it was Goofrey. is Donald Trump a good friend with Jeffrey Epstein's? And the answer, I should get this and put it in the newsletter because it's pretty funny. She says, well, Jeffrey says
yes,
so,
exactly.
but I've never seen the two of them together.
Exactly.
Ever.
Well, there's photographic evidence of that, but probably more to party.
There's photographic evidence of everything.
Yeah.
In terms, because both Epstein and Ghislaine were having their, and so does Trump. They're always having their picture taken with somebody. That doesn't mean you know them. A photographic evidence of a canned shot, which is, a posed shot with somebody who's smiling and you're smiling and I take a photo, that to me is evidence of nothing. It's like, I can't imagine how many people Obama's got a picture with. It doesn't really mean much.
Well, there's also no photographic evidence of us together in the same photo, so.
Yeah.
Back to
That's for good reason, though. We're circumspect. I'm off the grid, man. So the point is that Trump really came out smelling like a rose. Dershowitz kind of maybe, according to him, he does. I'm not sure. Dershowitz it looks like Trump and Dersh were the two guys who approved letting this thing slide out.
Dershowitz petitioned for this. He wanted this out so he could clear his name.
Lawsuit in mind.
Let me explain what's happening. Let me explain it.
He was on court TV.
You're not hearing me. Can you hear me at all? No, you can't hear me.
I heard you that time.
I've been trying to get a word in for a while. It was Dershowitz who actually worked with Cernovich to get these out because there's a date in there dates apparently when Dershowitz would have been there and had sex with multiple of the girls, as the documents state. But he wanted that out desperately so that he could say, that's wrong because I was in California or some other place where he was.
Right. Yeah, he did. Yeah. That was a setup.
So that's why these documents came out. That's the main reason. I've looked through them. I mean, did you find anything super damning other than the implications of everything?
I thought the Clinton stuff was kind of negative.
It's not positive, okay? But, to me, and I'm not entirely done with it, it's like, okay, a lot of this information was known. A lot of it we've already heard about.
Well, that's what Sagar and Cable both say. Is yes, none of this is new, especially since the woman in Australia and there were all the other, some of the women that are complaining about it all.
Yeah.
What is interesting is it's obvious that Ghislaine, or as Tucker Carlson said on one of his shows, he says, we learned that her name is pronounced Glenn.
Oh, please.
That's what he said.
Gillen. Not Glenn.
Maybe Gillen. Whatever.
Yeah.
She is a liar. That's what we learned. And I don't know what's going to come out of this, but it's kind of interesting. If you can get a copy of it, I'd recommend it. You can do it if you get the big document, the 2,000-page one. You can search a PDF, and you can search for Trump, you can search for Clinton, you can search for whoever you want to search for, and you can get some tidbits out of it. But let's listen to what Sagar and Cable have to say.
Some breaking news this morning. Late last night, some of the Epstein documents were unsealed by a judge. Now, these documents in particular stem from a deposition given by Virginia Giuffre, who is a high-profile accuser of Jeffrey Epstein and of Ghislaine Maxwell. Many of you might remember her from her accusations against Prince Andrew, and she's a highly credible person, witness, and we've seen some of her interviews on camera. She sued Ghislaine Maxwell back in 2015. These documents stem from that, and they show definitively that Ghislaine Maxwell has lied under oath in the court. Her lawyers have blatantly lied.
Right.
So let's lead off with that very first accusation, or not even accusation, that proof, which is that from that deposition, from that case, this is an email between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, January 21st, 2015. Now, her lawyers had already said in her bail memo that just 20 days ago, she had not communicated with Mr. Epstein in over a decade. So right off the bat, Crystal, blatant lie in the court of law. That's what we already know about.
Absolutely. And the details here are pretty chilling, too.
I love the little junior lawyers here. Yeah, right. Well, absolutely. Yeah, we checked all that out. It's just completely off the hook. It's not good here. Well, let's look into the case.
Epstein coaching her.
Stop a second. So I get a kick out of the fact, he's kind of a right winger, she's kind of a left winger, but she uses left wing code.
Yeah,
and the two code words are telling and chilling.
Yes,
those if you hear those words, they rarely come out of a person leaning right. It's almost always it's like code word. As a journalist, it's code for hey, I'm a lefty.
Just 20 days ago, she had not communicated with Mr. Epstein in over a decade. So right off the bat, Crystal, blatant lie in the court of law. That's what we already know about.
Absolutely. And the details here are pretty chilling, too. You have Epstein coaching her. Let's throw that back up. That's what that email is. Right. Coaching her on how to say, that these are all lies and untrue, completely untrue, that she's been smeared, innuendo, slander, defamation, salacious lies, all that stuff. And then he goes on to say, you've done nothing wrong. Hold your head up high, go to parties, get over it is basically what he says. So again, the real bombshell here, the fact that the two were very clearly in communication.
Yes.
And that is
inspiring in order to defeat these charges.
Absolutely. And that goes directly against what Maxwell's lawyers have been representing here. But wait, there's so much more.
There's some other stuff. And a lot of this was known, but we didn't have the full documents. We knew that Virginia Giuffre had made this accusation. But this one is about Bill Clinton. And again, this is a total bombshell. So let's throw that up there on the screen. And look, according to this interview...
Wait a minute. This is not a total bombshell. What is a total bombshell?
You're talking to preaching to the choir. Yes. I don't get it. I don't know how.
How about this? How about this? These two...
He admits himself that they knew all this anyway.
These two, and I like them in general... They're too young.
Sick of them.
They never read the Starr report. Now that was a bombshell. When the Starr report came out and we read about the cigar, oh man, that was a report, children. This is just this is baby stuff.
Didn't have the full documents. We knew that Virginia Giuffre had made this accusation. But this one is about Bill Clinton. And again, this is a total bombshell. So let's throw that up there on the screen. And look, according to this interview, Bill Clinton was at Epstein's Island with Epstein, Maxwell, and, quote, 2 young girls. Now, there's no allegation here of sexual impropriety. President Clinton has denied on numerous occasions that he was ever on this Little St. Jeffrey's, I think is what it was called, that island in the Virgin Islands that was owned by Jeffrey Epstein.
Little St. Jeffrey's.
Remember that from that Netflix documentary, with many of its flaws, as I know,
Little St. Jeffrey's is the name of something else.
It's Little St. John's is the name of the island. It's Little St. Jeffrey's. This guy's thinking of Little St. Jeffrey.
Had that interview with the IT technician for Jeffrey Epstein, who said somewhere between, I think it was the 90s and 2005, so assumption is after Clinton left office, that he was seen just hanging out with Epstein on the veranda on Epstein's favorite part of the island.
Wow, bombshell. Bombshell. Just bombshell. Get over yourselves, children. That's not bombshell. Hey.
No. It's a firecracker.
Yeah, firecracker. I did, you asked me, or I think we talked about Trump saying, well, I wish her well, about Glenn.
Yeah, it's got everybody all bent out of shape.
Well, this is kind of the kiss of death when Trump says that to you. Here's a little compilage.
There are going to be consequences. When they want to leave, I wish them well. I always say, enjoy your new plant, enjoy the very hot weather.
We certainly wish him well. It's a obviously tough time for him.
I wouldn't say she's exactly on my side, but I wish her well.
I was not happy with him, but I wish him well. I just don't think he'd be a very good candidate. I mean, we'll see what happens. I hope, I wish him well.
I wish you well, but I'd like you to submit your resignation. He had the worst ratings on Fox, so there's a reason. Well, I wish him well.
I've had a very good relationship with him. I wouldn't... I can only say this, I wish him well. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well.
It's when Trump...
Who did that one?
Someone sent it to me.
Very good.
Yeah, one of our
producers.
producers.
It's a kiss of death.
It's just like the mafia.
The mobster going, I'm giving you a big kiss on the cheeks and then the other cheek. And then on the lips. You're going to be shot that night.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda. In the morning.
Yes, indeed. We do have a few people to thank for show 1265. Starting with Christopher Flynn in Oakdale, Connecticut, who's got a birthday coming up. Send us a long note for some reason. Is there anything in here?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It's about his daughter's going to be 1.
Yes.
2.
Well, I just want to I want to reiterate that full notes are only guaranteed to be read at 200 and above associate executive producer or executive producer.
Yeah, otherwise we read notes all day. We read it's already lengthy.
Yeah, so, but she is on the list, and let me get her name. My daughter will be 1 year old August 2nd. I've been listening for 6 to 8 years, made a few $50 donations where I could, but I have not even begun to make good on the value I've received thanks to your podcast. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Christopher. She's on the list.
Cassia Grezleka in Effort, Pennsylvania. There's a town named Effort. 133.33. Sir Callistra in Attleboro Falls, Massachusetts. That's 133.33.
And we need to pause at his note as he, I believe, will be knighted. Does he get an upgrade? Let's see. Karma Works a couple months back asked for jobs, Karma, for an interview. Not only did I get the job with a major cloud provider, but they offered me a better job than what I applied for. This donation is in the name of my smoking hot fiancée, Susie. Please not only call out her birthday, August 5th, which will do, but add her to the round table as Dame Butterfly as this donation. Oh, okay. As Dame Butterfly, as this donation brings us over the top, accounting attached. The couple that no agendas together stays together. Please add Moscato and Maryland Crab for her Dame ceremony and a double shot of random Sharpton clips, since those are her favorites. Yes, we'll get those at the end for you, and we'll put that at the round table. And thank you very much for your courage, Sir Callistra.
I think Moscato.
Moscato.
If it's the sparkling Italian sweet-ish wine, and Maryland Crab would be absolutely tasty.
Well, why don't you join us at the round table then today?
I don't know. MEK's next from Cherry Hill Township in New Jersey, $101.01. Matthew Wilson follows with 100. Baron Latikin in Houston, Texas, 100. Pedro Villafane in Sapulpa, Oklahoma, 100. He's El Cid Campeador.
Yeah, good to hear from El Cid.
Right. Viscount J.D. Mack in Decatur, Illinois, 100. Isn't it nice? $100 donors are nice. Anonymous in Minneapolis, $99.99. Douglas Engstrom, $93.86. And he is
Douglas
knighted.
Yeah, he reached his knighthood. He says, started listening after being hit in the mouth about the Bataclan shooting in 2015. I haven't missed an episode since. Thanks to Cody and Matt. Request Percocet and Camel cigarettes. That is a unique request for the roundtable, but we can...
By the way, we got to go back to our anonymous Minnesota $99 donor because she needs a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
All right, sorry about that.
She, her boyfriend was got hit in the mouth by a Rogan show. Douglas Engstrom, 9386. That's what we just did. Scott of the Tall Corn in Davenport, Iowa, 8008. Mark Hall, 8008 in Austin.
Sir Mark Hall, yes, he definitely listens.
Excellent lately, he says.
What does he say? Excellent.
Excellent show.
He doesn't talk like that. Thanks for finding the truth. Here's my early boob donation. Remember, all boobs matter. And if you don't agree, you're a fascist and a misogynist.
Well, I agree with that.
We totally agree.
Sir Antonio in Madrid, Spain. All right. You need some health karma. We'll give you that at the end. 8008. Sir Got Nate in Sebastopol, California, 6969. Mark Fulton in Charlotte, North Carolina, 6272. Sir Jackson, Knight of the Transistors in Levelland, Texas, 5510. He's got a birthday shout out to his brother, Stephen. Sir Tom Dari in DeForest, Wisconsin. Double nickels on the dime. Harry Pilgrim, double nickels on the dime from Fredericksburg,
Virginia.
Virginia.
Haven't heard from Harry in a long time. Good he's still around. So
yeah, I when I saw his name, I was surprised. Sir Duma, Knight of the Black Swamp in Holland, Ohio, asking for jobs karma. We'll give you some at the end. Apparently he's having trouble. Benjamin Housen in Humboldt, Saskatchewan. 50. These are all $50 donors. And there's one note I do have to read. But let's read him name and location until I get to the note, which is Alexei Akashev, is some parts unknown, James Johnson in Seattle, Douglas Engstrom, Andrew Oxenham in Knoxville, Tennessee, Michael Janowski in Lindora, Pennsylvania, Bradley Ledden in parts unknown, Brian Watson. I do have a note from Sir Callie Flatsmacker, Sir Brian Watson, Aichi Kitagawa in San Francisco, Ralph Johnson in Lake Isabella, California, Sir Brett Farrell in Oklahoma City. And let's get back to the Callie Flatsmacker, who wrote a handwritten note in that needs some, I don't know if I can get through it, but we'll try. And normally I don't read these, but they're handwritten. I will tend to read them. As you may or may not have noticed, I mailed this donation with a 2-cent stamp. Starts off with intriguing. And then I look, yes. I learned how you do this while trying to debunk the flat earth theory. I was hearing a lot about the so-called flat earth movement and just assumed these people must have bats in the belfry. While searching on YouTube, pre-censorship, of course, I stumbled upon a channel known as Jeranism.
Jeranism.
Jeranism. It was there that I discovered how to mail a letter for 2 cents. His other videos also convinced me that the Earth is indeed a flat and stationary plane, not a planet, a plane.
Hey, I have a question. I want to understand about the mailing a letter for 2 cents. That's possible?
Well, this letter came and it was at a 2-cent stamp on it.
Oh, I'd like to learn about that.
Well, I'm guessing that the way it's done nowadays, because everything's a forever stamp, that pretty much any stamp will get you there.
There you go. That's what I'm thinking.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Maybe there's some code on the stamp, or this may.
Well, we want to know. That's a big savings. A 2-cent stamp is a big difference from a forever stamp.
I'd say 50 cents is what they cost. As any flat earther will tell you, referring to our realm as a globe is off-putting. We cringe when we hear podcasters use phrases such as
around the globe.
Across the globe. In order not to alienate your flat earth listeners, could you please say something neutral such as worldwide instead of planet? Say realm.
Stop for a second. Stop. Who is this? Who wrote this note?
He sent a note with a 2-cent stamp and no return address, and he only calls himself the Callie Flatsmacker.
Well, Callie Flatsmacker, I am very surprised you use your privilege to assume that I'm not a flat earther.
I'm surprised myself. Anyway, he goes on. Let me finish. I've said my piece. Long live flat earth. Don't be the last to find out. Your friend and listener, the Callie Flatsmacker. P.S. If you felt this donation is worth de-douching, I will take it. Peace.
Okay.
You've been de-douched.
Now he has one last little note. Space is fake.
Okay. Well, whatever it is, the Dragon X just fell out of it and splashed into the ocean. So whatever, I guess they dropped it from the rafters. But it came down.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So I thought that was a note worth reading
for sure. I have one donation which is necessary to read. Get your noisemakers ready. This is from James from the Australian West Coast. Adam and John, it has taken 7 years, donating $11.11 a month, and I have now just upped it for one time to $22.22 so I could become a baron in 7 years. But right now, I am officially a knight of the No Agenda Roundtable, and James will be at the Roundtable. 7 years, $11.11 a month. That is what I'm talking about. And thank you to all of our producers for supporting episode 1265. Of course, again, thanks to our executive and associate executive producers. And we thank people just like James here who support the show under the line just because it'd be too much to mention. But see how it makes a big difference, and this is really appreciated. And on behalf of us both, thank you very much for your courage. Thank everybody else. And I've got some jobs karma for those who need it, and we'll be right back with the birthdays.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And remember us for Thursday.
Dvorak.org/NA.
We are into August. It's the 2nd of August. Here's the birthday list that we have. Oliver Reich says happy birthday to his girlfriend Lexi. She turned 24 yesterday. Christopher Flynn, you just heard him, says happy birthday to his daughter Clara Jane. She turns 1 today. Welcome, Human Resource. You'll have a good time. Sir Jackson, happy birthday to his brother Stephen Butler, celebrating tomorrow. Sir Callistra celebrates with his smoking hot fiancée Susie. She will be at the round table in a moment. Her birthday is on August 5th. And finally, Jill Jaunty says happy birthday to her husband Kevin Knutson, 61 on August 5th. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe. And I think, do we have any title changes? No, we can go right into it. I'm very excited about this.
Here you go. I got it right here.
Nice. I got mine here, and we can roll. All right, up here on the table, we need James Dowding, Smoking Hot Susie, and Douglas Engstrom. The three of you are about to join the No Agenda Roundtable. The Knights and the Dames, we've got your requests all lined up. Your rings are over there at noagendanation.com. But first, come over here next to the lectern on the podium, as I am very proud to pronounce the Sir James Dowding, Dame Butterfly, and Sir Douglas Enstrom. For you, our new Knights and Dame of the No Agenda Roundtable, we have Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay, Moscato and Maryland Crab. We've got Percocet and Camel cigarettes. We've got single malt scotch, of course, vodka, vanilla, geishas and sake, bong hits and bourbon, sparkling cider and escorts, ginger ale and gerbils, breast milk and pablum, and yeah, we've got it. The metonymede, it's over there at noagendanation.com/rinks. Thank you, all three of you, for your support in $1,000 total. And welcome to the roundtable. Very, very happy to have you all here. And possibly we'll do a black knighting on Thursday for the executive producer that we didn't get to today. And we have some meetups to talk about.
No agenda meetups.
Just like a party. Reports from April and Chester, the Minnesota meetup. Gents, the small amygdalas of Minnesota meetup was a success. With perfect weather and exemplary company, it was nice to shake hands and share food with people in the land of lockdowns. Here's to more meetups with Minnesotan thought criminals, April and Chester. We also had a meeting in Boston. This was the summer 2020 meetup. Red 33, a report.
All right, welcome. This is the No Agenda meetup. What's going on? This is Brandon, a.k.a. the Negro of the Northeast. Once again, be on the lookout for my new book, Black Fragility.
Hey, sir, now still here, fighting the hurricane winds at the Boston meetup. Stay safe. Sir Jin here in the morning.
This is JJ Rendapunk.
We're new. We don't know what to say.
Jessica Joy coming in.
And in the morning, thank you, Adam and John, for everything that you do. And also, MoFax is awesome. This is Sir Nathan Lee, Miller Foster Kale, a good night of the White Lodge, Blue Orchid of the Gold Heart Mountain Top, Queen Directory, and Elstone and the Bear of Reforged, or whatever the last one is. Stick the landing. Thank you so much, and in the morning.
If we ever keel over, we've got a replacement right there, obviously.
Absolutely.
That sounds like a lot of fun, those guys. And I love the diversity. This is what these No Agenda meetups are about. And you can say how you feel about yourself. The things I just heard in that could not be said in your typical public setting, yet here we are broadcasting it all across the flat land. Practicing. It's realm. Everybody gets to be clumsy. That's what's great about it. A report from Denver.
Hello, Gitmo Nation. This is the City Park Sit-In meetup for the second ever time, and it's been a great one. I'm going to pass the mic around.
This is Matt in the morning. This is Jim. I'm just happy to be here enjoying our coordinated furlough from Gitmo Nation. Love and light.
Hey, Paul from Greeley. Rock on.
This is Tom. This meetup's been pretty good.
This is Colin. I just want to say that the best part of waking up is fluoride in my cup.
This is Taylor, aka Tacos, and I can't wait for the next one.
I guess you could say we've given each other the whole load today.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, the No Agenda meetups. We have a couple scheduled. I want to mention Calgary on Sunday. That's today. So I guess that's already started. Sir Michael of Calgary and Vegas. We'll see if we get a meetup report from them. This coming Saturday, Grant Pass, Oregon at 1 o'clock at the Weekend Beer Company. Also on Saturday, the Kiama Blowhole Safety Check. That is 1 p.m. Aussie Eastern Standard Time. So I think that's probably Wednesday here. That'll be Saturday at the Hungry Monkey Cafe in Kaima, New South Wales, Australia. Sir Kevin, protector of the Kaima Blowhole, will be hosting. That makes sense. Also on Saturday, 3 Mile Island Evac Zone meeting number 4, 3:33 p.m. Sir 737 is organizing. Pittsburgh, PA on Saturday, Riverview Park. Emma Bloomer is your organizer. And also on Saturday, Toronto, 2 p.m. Meet at the Annex area. Annex area, I guess it is. Kared Ixolokos is hosting. And I have here a special note from the back office, March 6, 2021. Okay. The Dallas Area Texas Fly Fishing and Brew Festival. First 20 people to connect Tim will get a ticket. Details at noagendameetups.com. All right. And as always, if you want to attend a meetup, go to noagendameetups.com. Look around. There's all kinds of ways to find the people in your area. And if not, the recommendation is go ahead and make one of your own. They're fun. You get to be clumsy. It's the No Agenda Meetups.
Sometimes you want to go hang out with all the nights and days. You want to be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You want to be where everybody feels the same.
It's like a party.
It's like a party.
All right. What else?
Well, I got a couple of things.
Yes, good.
First of all, this is one I wanted to put together. This was on CNN. They were talking about the polls, and the Democrats are getting very cocky about a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we have here one of the typical CNN guys and some guests, and they're going on and analyzing the polls because even though we haven't seen Biden do anything, he still keeps getting better and better. And here's the CNN polls analysis, part 1.
Yeah, you hit it right on, John. So, if you look at the Quinnipiac University poll that was out yesterday, you saw that former Vice President Joe Biden was up by 13 points and over 50%. Now, compare that to the Quinnipiac University poll that came out at this exact same point back in 2016. What'd you see? You saw that Hillary Clinton was actually trailing in the state by 5 and not even close to 50%. So the fact is, when you're looking at the poll numbers like down in Florida, you just see that the former vice president is in a significantly better position than Clinton was at this point.
And how does this connect or relate to what we're seeing in the rest of the country?
Yeah, this is so important. 3 Fox News polls came out yesterday from Minnesota, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And what you see there is, again, large leads for the former vice president, up by 9 points or even more, up by 13 points in Minnesota, a state that the Republicans want to flip. Doesn't look like at this point. And if you look at the polling averages across the country and you said, okay, if the polling averages hold and the election were held today and the winner in each state was the winner who was leading in the polling averages, what do you see? You see that former Vice President Joe Biden would win 352 electoral votes. It would not be close at this particular point. Of course, we still have a little bit more than 100 days to go, so we'll have to see what happens.
In general, did we not? I mean, I know they're talking about it, but didn't we just learn that that there's no way to really know, and these polls are just not typically right?
Oh, it makes you feel good, though. You're a Democrat, and you hate Trump.
Yeah.
Which is kind of redundant.
Kind of goes hand in hand, yeah.
This is the stuff you want to watch because it just makes you feel good. You feel a lot better about life. Let's go to clip 2.
So oftentimes the polls tell you what is happening and you have to search deep down inside to figure out why. The why here this morning, Harry, is no mystery. It is screaming out loud.
Yeah, sometimes there's some real mysteries. There's not in this particular case. Look at this. The most important issues, according to the most recent national Fox News poll, coronavirus, 29%, nearly double the percentage of the economy. This is going to be one of those elections that's determined by a non-economic issue. And what's so important is that who is leading on that particular issue of the coronavirus, who is more trusted? It's the former vice president overwhelmingly. And not only is it that the former vice president is leading overwhelmingly, that lead is expanding on the issue, which I think goes right to the heart of the issue of why the former vice president's lead is expanding overall. It's because voters are not liking the president's response to the coronavirus.
It's time to remind everybody that the polls are really used for one reason, and one reason only, is to make the television show more exciting, and to worry different sides of the political spectrum to spend more money.
Yep.
And it's
to spend more money.
Doing
mostly.
well. Yeah, it's doing well.
So you frighten the crap out of the Trump side, and they start spending more money. And if the polls, and you notice the Biden guy's getting lazy, they're not spending enough money. All of a sudden, Trump jumps into the lead. And so here comes the Biden money. Biden money comes in. Okay, here it comes. Okay, now they're both spending the same amount of money, but they're not spending enough.
All right.
So you jack them up. So this is really what it's about. But we still like to listen to these because nobody seems to want to understand that simple mechanism. So we play these things so you can play. We'll play these again in a year. Same clips.
Yep.
To show you how wrong these guys are. Let's play the last one, which is clip 3.
Now, I think all the polls that have come out are most interesting because of what they tell us about where things are today and how they perhaps explain the public perception of how the president has handled coronavirus. But if you were to look forward and project forward to November and what might happen then, what is the one number that jumps out to you this morning as being the most telling?
Yeah, the president's approval rating, his net approval rating, that's his approval rating minus his disapproval rating. And what you see is the president's very much underwater with a minus 15 percentage point net approval rating. Now go back over time, look at all the incumbents who are running for another term since 1940. What you see is that the presidents who ended up not getting that second term or that fourth term in the case of, or getting in for FDR, you see that those presidents had a minus 14 percentage point net approval rating. He looks a lot more like the losers than he does like the winners. Those winners had a plus 23 point net approval rating. He simply put is not anywhere close to them. He looks a lot more like the losers than the winners. Again, we have time to go, but this is not a good place for the incumbent president to be at this point.
Oh, brother. Oh, man. Oh, that's pretty funny.
You're adopting my scorn phrase.
Someone has to. Someone has to take the baton eventually. I use it a lot. You're right.
It's
on
a good
email.
word. It's
really
catchy.
good. It is catchy. That'll do it. There is a lot more to deconstruct, but you'll just have to wait until Thursday because I'm sure more will come up in the interim. We'll put it all together, put a bow around it, and spew it all over you through the podcast. We have the Grumpy Old Ben's coming up on noagendastream.com if you're listening live. After show Mick just had to make a selection. We have too many for today. They'll spill over till Thursday. Rad Granddad, Rat Track, and Jesse Coy Nelson bringing that to you. And coming to you from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the capital of the Drone Star State, Austin, Texas. We are female region number 6 in case you're looking for us on the governmental maps. We sure hope you'll remember to support us at Dvorak.org/NA. While I fight off Antifa until Thursday in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're just hunkered down again and nobody cares. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday, right here on No Agenda. Till then, adios, mofos! And such.
Peaceful protesters. 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 Peacefully gathering in protest. A diverse group of protesters peacefully pushing for change. Peacefully pushing for change.
You used to be a statue in the middle of town. You used to tell a story. Now it don't make a sound. children, they want to burn it all down. We gave them all the glory and gave up the high ground.
What is justice? Who can we prosecute for those deaths? Nobody. Nobody. Mother Nature, God, where did this virus come from? People are going to die by this virus. That is the truth. Older people, vulnerable people are going to die from this virus. We can't keep everyone alive.
The sun will still rise, I wanna be there with you. I've taken off my mask, are you ready for the truth? Forgive but not forget, for they know not what they do.
That's very odd. I'm not sure why he's doing that.
Well, it's a very good point, though, I have to say. And hilarious. 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 Hilarious.
Why he's doing that.
Hilarious. Well, it's a very good point, I have to say. Hilarious. Hilarious.
That's very odd.
And coming this fall to home video, here's a look at the tragic true life story of the men known as the Three Stooges.
Dershowitz, she again is accusing him of having committed sexual acts against minors.
President Clinton has denied on numerous occasions that he was ever on that island that was owned by Jeffrey Epstein.
That is Prince Andrew with his arm wrapped around Virginia Giuffre when she is only a teenager.
She was very specific about that night. She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have bath.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time.
Oh, a wise guy, eh?
Oh, my neck!
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Come on. Oh, getting personal, eh?
I experimented with marijuana a time or two, and I didn't like it, and didn't inhale.
You have no right not to be vaccinated. You have no right not to wear a mask. You have no right to open up your business.
No right not to be vaccinated, meaning if they decide you have to be vaccinated, we have to be vaccinated?
Absolutely. And if you refuse to be vaccinated, the state has the power to literally take you to a doctor's office and plunge a needle into your arm.
I can't do a thing with him. You try something.
broadcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
You are listening to NoAgendaStream.com, the best source of music, talk, and infotainment in the universe. NoAgendaStream.com. Up next, Hookers and Blow.
You're listening to NoAgendaStream.com. All talk, no commercials, no agenda.
I should probably listen to Grumpy Old Ben's this year.
Hello and welcome to episode number 82 of Grumpy Old Ben's for July 31st, 2020. Hey, it's a Friday. I am Darren O'Neill coming to you live from a bunker deep in the heart of Middle America, just outside of Chirac, where, yes, I do sauerkraut pierogies, Harry Hamster, and they're delicious.
And from America's left coast, where I'm still waiting for my public school tax rebate check, I'm Ryan Bemrose.
Are they giving you rebates? Is that because they're not going to have school?
No, they're pocketing that shit. Teachers Union is by far the most powerful organization in the state. So, the teachers are still collecting a full salary for sitting around doing nothing, except for the ones who are making sure to improve their vocation by rioting and burning down the cities.
Well, that's a great job. If you could just say, I'm not going to work.
Collecting a full government paycheck for not going to work and rioting and burning down the city. Yeah. It's good work.
Where do I get in on that? I want that.
You have to join the
seems
teachers
like a good
union.
gig. Yeah. Okay.
First of all, go back to college and get an indoctrination certificate. Teaching certificate.
And not all teachers are bad, but all teachers unions, I do
honestly,
believe, are evil.
Most teachers are actually really good people who get into, you don't get rich on a teaching salary. So most of them are good people who just want to get, help out kids, and don't get me wrong. However, all unions suck. Government unions should be completely illegal. We've covered that in a previous show. And the activist teachers who are currently burning down Portland probably need to maybe not be doing that, or at least maybe not be collecting a tax-funded paycheck while doing it. I don't know.
Well, that's a big part of it. And I don't know. I think that if there is any proof that a teacher who is working for the government is, working for the city in a roundabout way, really should be out of a job if they are caught up in things like rioting and burning down.
Although I tend to believe the same thing about any mayor who does that.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Well, you do have that in Seattle, too. Poor little Jenny Durkin. Wasn't she all involved in this until the mobs came to her house?
Okay. So you're dropping right into one of my first stories, which is a totally local thing. And so I'm going to bore everybody who's not in the Washington area right off.
Welcome to Seattle politics here on Grumpy Old Ben's.
Well, honestly, it's because I looked at this story, and the first one, I just had to fucking laugh. Jenny Durkin, the mayor of Seattle, is facing a recall. The judge just a couple days ago approved that the recall petition can go forward. So if they can gather 30,000 signatures of Seattle residents, they can try to recall Jenny Durkin. And here's the kicker. Why do they want to recall her? No, it's not because she aided terrorists and seditionists and allowed a communist autonomous zone to appear. No, everybody's totally cool with that in Seattle. No, the reason they want to recall her is because she did not enforce any local city ordinances to ban the feds and the police from using tear gas on the terrorists.
So they're okay. Let me just get this straight. Recalling her because she helped the terrorists.
No, they're not recalling her because she helped the terrorists. That is the actual illegal thing that she did. But recalls aren't about what's illegal. They're about what's unpopular. And the unpopular thing that she did was she didn't help the terrorists enough. she didn't do enough to hamper the efforts of law enforcement. And, the petition, which I read, said, that, these poor protesters using tear gas on them in a pandemic where, in COVID-19 pandemic where we've already got problems with our lungs, and using tear gas on people will inflame and irritate the lungs and make people more susceptible to COVID-19.
Yeah, maybe rioting makes you more susceptible to COVID-19.
So Jenny Durkan, the mayor of Seattle, is now facing a recall from the people that are slightly farther left than she is, which, given that she is one foot in communism already, the people farther to the left are only in Seattle is all I'm saying. and she's not being recalled because she aided terrorists. She's being recalled because she didn't help them enough.
Well, and people don't understand the federal system we have in the United States. They really don't, because everybody that's blaming Trump for not doing enough when it comes to COVID then say, well, don't come into my city and do this. Well, you can't have it both ways. They don't understand how all this stuff works. They don't understand that the local mayor is not going to keep out federal authorities. Sorry, not going to happen.
She can order the cops to clash with them, and there will be things, but ultimately Trump has more troops.
Yeah, he has more troops, and the way the system is set up, the federal government isn't really supposed to worry about local stuff unless things go poorly. And when things go poorly, that's when they go in.
And to Trump's credit, he waited 2 months waiting for the local people to sort this out, because it isn't the federal government's business to be sorting out the garbage that happens locally. That is, in fact, local police's job. And the only reason why federal troops are even in this equation is because local police either aren't doing their job or are being prevented from doing their job by activist mayors. This is a story happening all over the damn place.
Yeah, the police want to do their jobs. And
most
the mayors
of them do,
say don't go in.
Crazy
nuts.
thing. Most police, being people, are perfectly fine people. There's perfectly fine people on both sides. You know how that works. But the majority of the police are sitting here going, I want to restore law and order, and I want to do what's right for the community, and I want people to stop getting hurt. But there's so much politics in the way. Yeah, it's crazy. And speaking of police, while I was investigating the recall, I made the mistake of dropping into the search engine Washington State recall petition, and came across a couple others. So I've talked about the recall, which apparently we are now going to get a special election. They got enough signatures to try to recall Adam Fortney in Snohomish County, Washington, who is the sheriff who said on Facebook that he would not enforce any unconstitutional orders. And that was them's fighting words. That was
that's
enough.
Insanity in Washington.
That was enough to get at least 70, 30, 40, 50, 70. I don't know how many signatures they gathered, but it was enough for them to put together a recall petition. And 70,000 of my closest neighbors are now saying, what do you mean you won't enforce unconstitutional rules? Get rid of him. Put in somebody who can, stomp on the heads better. I don't know.
But those are the people that call the president a fascist.
Let's see. The sheriff of Thurston County, which is like 3 counties south of here. It's where Olympia is, the state capital. Thurston County sheriff is now facing a recall because he said on Facebook that he said that he wasn't going to instruct his deputies to enforce Inslee's mask order because it wasn't practical and they didn't have enough manpower. Recall! Get that guy out. How dare he not enforce the mask order? So,
well, it's similar to what goes on with all these gun laws in places like Chicago.
And in the same article, by the way, he said, we highly recommend that everybody wear masks because this, bad science that we all know about. but he said, you really need to wear a mask, but we are not going to be bringing criminal charges because we don't have the manpower. There's too many people not doing it. And they're recalling him for it.
I mean, that's insanity, which is the problem with all of these mask ordinances is trying to enforce is a big reason why the system is just going to collapse if you try to do it, because you really have your cops and whoever you have out there, trying to keep people from, daring to walk around without a mask. That's using manpower. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a sexist statement. But you're not putting those resources where they're actually needed. And then people do die. And, actual criminals are left to run wild, looting and setting things on fire because all of your law enforcement people are going around going, oh, your mask isn't on your nose.
Yeah. Well, see, politicians live in a world where reality need not apply. They can just imagine that the world is the idealized, ideological bullshit that they have in their heads, and then issue laws and edicts and proclamations trying to describe the world as they believe it should be. And police are in the unenviable position of being in the intersection of the fantasy world that the politicians live in and the regular world where this stuff is, it's not only trampling people's rights, it's pissing them off to the point where, cops are under attack, have been for months. And more importantly, the politicians are just issuing edicts left and right that are literally impossible. Like, go enforce that everybody must wear a slave covering on their face.
Right. Without having any clue what each covering is, which is a big part that makes me laugh, because they go, well, any cloth face covering is fine. When the reality is there are materials out there, I'm sure, that you can make masks out of that let 99.9% of air in and out, but it looks like you have the mask on, but it would be doing nothing.
Like fishing net.
Yeah. I mean, really.
Pantyhose. I don't know. Some kind of open mesh.
Really? Yeah. I mean, that's
if you
exactly
can
the
tobacco
problem.
Juice through it, then it probably is letting your air in.
Yeah, you would think so.
I don't know.
We've seen people
I'm
do
kind of
this.
feeling like some of the people that are pushing hardest for these masks, what they really just need is a mask that is strong enough to block the virus entirely, like saran wrap. Just wrap that around your mouth and nose, and every time that you feel this irrational fear of a virus that isn't even out in the summer, and feel like through that fear you want to stomp on everybody else's rights to go about and live their lives, what you just need to do is cover your face very tightly in something that doesn't admit any air, and until you calm down. This is not actual advice from Grumpy Old Ben's. I don't recommend people go out and commit suicide, no matter how fucking stupid you have to be in order to follow this advice. But goddamn people, what the hell?
Well, yeah, because the virus is out there, but I don't think there's any question about that. But how you want to deal with it, totally different. Our buddy, Earl Walkman, just sent me a screenshot of a ticket for a race, auto racing in Ohio. And it's fantastic. A health assessment and temperature check will be conducted by Mid-Ohio staff. If it's greater than 100.4, you won't be allowed entry. All staff will be wearing masks and gloves, and then masks are required to be worn at all times, whether indoor or outdoors.
The outdoor temperature in Ohio right now? Because 104 doesn't seem like that unreasonable right now.
Yeah, what happens when the temperature outside gets over to 104? Then
like
won't
if you don't have like your built-in air conditioning working, you're out of there. Also, are they conducting the air that, if they're that concerned about air quality, are they also like forcing all of the cars to use catalytic converters to make sure that nobody gets any carbon monoxide? And I mean, because
carbon monoxide is okay.
Those are much bigger health issues than a flu virus in the summer.
And social distancing is required between all family units.
No.
Sure.
Well, I mean,
I've an outdoor.
I've social distanced from my family because they annoy me, but
that's within your family unit.
Yes.
But yeah, this is where we're going to, wear your mask at all times outdoors. And it doesn't make sense. I mean, there's more and more proof that this stuff is aerosolized, including the one study which said taller people get it more because I guess we're up in the rarefied air. And,
well, it's because it's colder and less humid up there. I don't know.
And then Fauci saying, wear goggles, man. You got to have goggles now. If you want to be 100% safe, you need the goggles, which also says aerosolized.
If there's somebody in this country who needs a fucking muzzle on his face,
wear goggles.
Yeah. Over your nose and mouth.
This will be the next thing. I mean, full hazmat suits to go out, I think, soon for everybody. That could be our exit strategy. That is not economically feasible. They're just going to require that everybody knit their own out of yarn like they have with masks. I don't get it. It's like those things are not effective. We saw the video of Adam Curry who exhaled his vape through one of those gators that they have over at No Agenda Shop. And it just goes right through. And I saw a guy actually inhaling and exhaling his vape. And it's like, it does nothing. It's like, good thing we're wearing these. I don't get it. I understand it's doing a small percentage of blocking things, but not enough. If this stuff is aerosolized and every new thing that comes out seems to prove it is aerosolized more than just on the larger droplets. Larger droplets, you can make the case that masks would stop. But if it is aerosolized, then no mask you're wearing is fine, because as long as the air goes through it, I mean, it's like you said, saran wrap, as long as you can breathe, it's going in, it's going out.
Some of these mask holes, I'm just not sure that them continuing to breathe is in the best interest of the country. But I'm not actually recommending people die. I mean, it's going to happen, but
now here's the question. You see, none of these local authorities can handle these types of things like enforcing who's wearing masks. But is that where big tech comes in?
I certainly hope not.
The writing seems to be on the wall, because the government all of a sudden is doing a little bit of arm twisting, whether they can do anything or not. The one thing you take away, and this is people on both sides of the aisle. I don't care what your political ideology was. I saw people with radically different political viewpoints responding to what was going on with the CEOs, and other people from Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, the usual, the big ones though. I mean, you had Zuck and you had Bezos, and you had Patel, you had all these guys there. And people on both sides of the aisle had one response, which was, wouldn't it be nice if the people in our government understood technology? And it's like, yes, it would.
I missed the entire C-SPAN ordeal that was the tech giants, quite intentionally. I thought about maybe catching up, and then I was like, no, they'll talk about it on No Agenda. They'll talk about it other places, and Darren will probably bring it to the show. I don't want to know.
It is a massive ignorance of technology coming from our elected officials. And unfortunately, they're the ones making the laws. So
you mean like the attorney general, who still seems to think that it's possible to create encryption that only the government has keys to?
Well, that is possible to do that, but
no,
it's possible, because I can create an encryption that only I have the keys to. But then the concept that that's never going to get out, that's a different story.
Yeah, that's not inherent to the encryption algorithm. That's inherent to your secrecy.
Right. No, well, and having a backdoor is basically having a key.
Yeah, and the government is about as good at keeping secrets as that NetGator is at preventing a virus from going through.
Right. It's going to do everything you need it to do. But the questions that these guys from the big tech companies got were just, one, laughable, and two, these guys just got time to talk, and the opening statements were enough to make me just want to turn this thing off, because they gave each one of these guys 5 minutes, and they all basically did a commercial for their product, and they all pandered to, we'd like to send our deepest sympathies for the death of John Lewis, what was his name, right? I'm blanking out here, the congressman that just passed away,
whatever,
and it was right down the line. It was all the same script, Google we do everything we can to protect our customers' privacy. And then they're asking him very specific questions. And all of a sudden Patel's like, I'm not familiar with that. Congressman, I don't, or whatever. But he's just like, no, I'm not familiar with that. And there's no question that big tech, they have access and the ability to really mess with small businesses.
Yeah. They have the ability to mess with big businesses, but since the big businesses pay their paycheck, the favors go both ways. It is funny how the CEO walks up and his job is to say two things out of different sides of his face. And one is please don't regulate us. We'll make more money if you don't. And the other is, oh, by the way, if you've got any government contracts, we'll write tech for you.
Well, yeah, Google's like, hey, you know what? We have a camera on everybody's cell phone that is running, between Apple and Google. They've got what, 90, how many percent? What's left besides Apple and Google running in the United States on their phones? Like 1%, maybe less. Was our Windows phone still around?
Than that. I mean, you're at that point, you're looking at things like Lineage and the open source AOSP stuff.
So well over 90%. And they could go, you know what? Every one of these phones have cameras on the front and on the back. You want us to see who's wearing their masks? We can do that for you.
Yeah, no.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You don't, well, you know what the possibility is there.
I know the possibility. And I, as if I needed another reason to keep this piece of garbage in the drawer, back in the 90s, when we were looking at all of the possibilities, all of the amazing things that technology could bring us, I think we were blinded a little bit, because it is absolutely incredible to be able to carry a supercomputer in your pocket with all of these sensors. But I at least did not pick up on the idea that every technological advance for the next 20 years was going to be completely soured by fucked up draconian authoritarian business models that are it completely screws the value. I don't care how awesome it is to be able to talk to my wall and have it turn lights on. If it means that I'm going to lose a chunk of my humanity doing it, it's not worth it. And back then, I was looking at this going, look at all of these amazing things that technology is going to be able to do in the next 20 years. And on that list, I never picked up on, things like, look at the amazing way technology is going to fucking sell me out to the highest bidder.
Well, yeah, you are the product. Your data is now way more useful than we ever thought of 20, 30 years ago. That was just never thought of. It would be a thing, that you would be the product, that these companies would be in business to do almost nothing more than scrape data from you and sell it to other companies. And that's why we have another story today of all the bunch of databases that have leaked. But the intriguing thing when this internet stuff started was, like everything, pie in the sky, this is going to be an equalizer. This was going to help the mom and pop kind of stores compete with the big bad Walmarts at the time. I mean, this was before, Amazon was a thing. Yeah. And the concept was the internet was going to be an equalizer, and it was going to allow people to compete, even if you didn't have a whole lot of money behind you. And what we've seen happen fairly quickly is the internet market become completely overrun and controlled by a handful of groups. So what happened to this promise?
One of those groups is the bureaucrats who you're saying they should understand tech. I think that they understand tech exactly the wrong amount, because back in the 90s, they didn't understand the internet at all, and it wasn't a thing. And it was glorious.
It's a series of tubes, sir.
It was the only, it was the closest I've ever been in my life, having grown up in industrialized bureaucratic Western society. The 90s internet was the closest I've ever come to living in an anarchy, because it was unregulated. It was, people just did what they wanted. And I mean, yeah, there were some things that were dangerous, but I don't know. I have a lot of nostalgia for that period. And somewhere along the line, governments for example, started waking up and going, hey, if we regulate this, we can, bring in more tax money. And then, once you get governments involved, they're the only ones who actually have the ability to enforce the creation of a monopoly. And, so big companies became bigger and little companies get driven out of business. And congratulations, you get crony capitalism just like everywhere else. I do have a story, though, about that sort of thing happening right now. It's Australia using Facebook and Google as their scapegoats for everything that's wrong with the internet.
Well, aren't they?
I mean, we've said as much on this show, but okay. So this story it's really, really hard to decide which side to root for when they're both thoroughly despicable. So the story is that, back in 2019, a bunch of, journalists, and I'm using air quotes here, in Australia decided that Google is using their stories and making money off of it without their permission. And that Google, and Facebook are the two companies mentioned here. They are making money off of the backs of these poor journalists who are doing all the work to create the content that Google is monetizing. And therefore, these big Silicon Valley companies need to be paying reparations to the journalists in Australia. This might sound familiar, by the way. Spain tried to do it in 2014. France tried to do it in 2013. Germany tried to do it in 2015, but abandoned when they found out what happened to Spain. I'll get to that later. But so in this case, the Australia government ordered the Silicon Valley companies to come to a voluntary agreement to pay Australian media companies. It turns out that's not economical, and so they didn't come to an agreement. Does this surprise you?
No, and this is all over just linking in, right? Because Google doesn't take their story and repost it.
No, Google is providing a search engine. They're providing, well, they're monetizing the search links because they're putting advertising out there, which means it's not just an innocent index. It's Google makes their money by monetizing all information created by anyone. Guess what? Australia journalists, you're not unique. Google is making money on all of us. But anyways, so the Australian government has ordered them to come to arbitration. That's the current stage. And if 45 days pass, they're talking about putting in legislation that says that Google is required to pay, and Facebook to pay, Australian journalist companies in order to use their content. This is a terrible idea on so many ways, but let me first.
Well, because do they even go into defining and understanding what use their content means?
Not really. See, the thing is, there's right now the law itself is only in a draft because they're not gonna use it if we can, if right. Arbitration can come to a conclusion, which it won't.
Right. They want the arbitration so things can go away quietly, because otherwise I'm thinking the answer here would be set up a robots.txt file that says Google can't look at my stuff. Well, and then it probably will stop.
So when this happened in Spain passed a law in 2014 that said, which was over exactly the same issue. It said that Google News was stealing the content of Spanish journalists. And they passed a law that said, in order for Google to use content from Spain's journalism, their news media outlets, Google was required to pay a fee in order to use that content. That was a Spanish law passed in 2014. Google immediately shut down Google News in Spain. They just blocked all incoming links from those IPs. And about a year later, the Spanish media companies were saying, we had a 90% drop in links and in traffic overnight. We're dying here. Please rescind this law.
Well, yeah, they do have a symbiotic relationship. Google drives the traffic to them.
Yeah, I hate to come out on Google's side on any of this, but yeah, this is the side of capitalism, of voluntary agreements. Google, if Google is not stealing content at all. There's a voluntary agreement. You put this out there and we send you traffic. And
Yes.
it might not, not everybody might be happy with that, but that's kind of how it works. And so I guarantee that if this goes too far in Australia, then you're going to see large chunks of Google and Facebook shut down in Australia. And, funny thing, the news result, they're just not going to point to any Australian outlets.
Yeah, and that'll kill them. But the interesting thing to me is, again, we were sold on the fact that all of these different companies, all of these different websites would be able to compete with each other. And what has happened is that Google has become ubiquitous with search. So I just pulled up, just to give you an example, I just pulled up the website that I do for my friend's restaurant, little breakfast place here in the Chicago area. And over the last 30 days, I'm looking at the analytics here. They had, in the last month, 1,377 hits from a search engine search. Out of that 1,377, how many do you think came from Google? Do you want to even give me a guess? Out of the 1,370, that would be more than 1,377.
Okay, it wasn't a very good guess then.
But you're close. 1,284 of the 1,377 came from Google, then 58 from Bing, 21 from Yahoo, 15 from DuckDuckGo, and 1 from Ask.com. So somebody's still using Ask.com.
That's amazing. You know what? I applaud that person. You are suffering through really crappy search results in order to not propagate the Google monopoly.
But this, I think, shows, people can say, well, yeah, you got Bing and there's DuckDuckGo and there are competitors, but a vast majority of the public uses Google. And I don't know if that's because they don't know anything else exists and that may be the truth, or they think Google has the best search results. That may be true.
That is arguably true. Yeah.
So, what can you do?
It's getting worse now that they're promoting ads to the top slot.
Yeah, well, they have been for a while, and that's the intriguing thing too.
I haven't been to Google for a while.
Yeah, you're not missing. I haven't either. I switched to DuckDuckGo about 6 months ago as the default in every browser I use. And I have to say, I do not miss the Google search. DuckDuckGo does fine.
In most cases, it's not even people making the conscious decision to use Google or use anything. Most people don't even care that they're going to a search engine. What they want is they have a thing in their hand that they're like, I want this thing. And you type in or even speak the thing you want, and the device in their hand will go get it for you. And they don't care what search engines use. They don't care what company is providing that technology. They just know that, if I search for Asian nudes, then Asian nudes pop up on my phone screen. And so the most powerful thing in the entire
in Asia,
I'm not specifying what. And in fact, hey Siri, show me some porn. Alexa, just search for goat sex. I don't know. Trying
That'll take you right to the No Agenda show.
Use their stupid talking tubes. But the most powerful thing in search engines is the default. Whatever default your device is set up to use, which in most people's case is their phone. Their phone runs Android, and Android is always going to default to Google. Then that is how you get your searches done.
That is exactly what Progo pointed out in the troll room, that companies pay big money to be the default search engines. And maybe that's the real problem. Yeah. Well, that's the real problem then, is that the traffic is being funneled to one source through, everybody that makes a phone or whatever, whoever they're paying off when it comes down to this. I'm guessing every phone manufacturer can choose what their default is. But if you're, if you're running Android, does anybody have an Android phone that doesn't default to Google search?
Well, I don't run the browser that's handed to me with my Android phone, so I get to use.
Well, that's true too. How many? That would be another question, I guess, for non-dudes named Ben. the average person, do they even know that there are more than one browser? You just don't have to use the one that comes with your machine.
This is my window to the internet. I don't care how I get there. It just get me there. Most people do not care. And that's a rational decision on the part of most people. But it's the technology involved and the fact that it's leading one company or a small monopoly of companies to completely destroy the market. I mean, the only thing that the only group that can destroy Google's monopoly is Google, and the only way they do that is by making the experience bad enough that people start switching. And for me, I hit that point a long time ago. For Grumpy Old Ben's listeners, I feel like you should be there by now. But for the general public, I mean, Google's trying.
And before I close this window out with all the stats here for my friend's restaurant, you're absolutely right. 79% of the traffic coming from mobile, 3% on tablets, 18% on desktops, which is intriguing. It really is. When you look at it by browser, mobile Safari, 60%. So obviously a lot of iPhone people like this restaurant. There's no doubt about it.
Is the restaurant really expensive?
It's not super expensive, but it's certainly not a cheap breakfast place. It's a step up from a normal, just greasy breakfast place.
I'm just trying to correlate Apple devices are characteristic of people who have more money than fiscal sense. People who, for whatever reason, have a lot of money they don't mind throwing away, and the evidence of that is that you bought a phone for 3 times the price of what it's worth. Congratulations, you've just been stereotyped.
And I mean, they've been written up in Chicago Magazine for their cinnamon toast, French toast. They were on one of these Chicago TV things where they go to the best restaurants for their huevos rancheros. I'm
going to need more than your word for this. You're going to have to send me some of that now.
It is delicious. And by operating system so this is even better. iOS, 64% of the traffic to their website comes from iOS, 17 from Android, 12 from Windows, 5 from Mac OS, 1% others. So maybe somebody's using Linux. I don't know.
Somebody logged in on an Amiga. Commodore 64.
And they needed a breakfast fix. I don't know. But it's interesting when you look at this kind of stuff, when you go, well, people can compete with Google. And then you look at the traffic results and it's like, to every 1,200 search results from Google, there's like 50 from Bing and then 5 from everybody else.
So I'm still on the Australia story. I want to feed you a little bit of hyperbole. Are you ready?
Surely.
Okay.
It won't be as tasty as the cinnamon toast French toast.
I don't know if this is a government position or not, but it said Australian Treasurer Josh Frydenberg. It made me feel like Australia was a like intramural club or something. They have a treasurer, but maybe that's it. But anyways, so this is the guy who was interviewed for the article, and he had some really choice lines like, "Nothing less than the future of the Australian media landscape is at stake." Or
okay.
It's about a fair go for Australian news media businesses. It's about ensuring that we have increased competition, increased consumer protection, and a sustainable media landscape. You're in the government. You have no fucking idea what competition is. Government doesn't increase. There is no, there's a lot of things the government can do, but increasing competition is never one of them. In fact, the only tool that the government has, every single government action, is to restrict fair competition, is to restrict the ability of people to go out and choose what they're working with. Governments do not increase